like this, but yeah. Oh, right,
This
you
is
are
fine.
reclining. Okay.
Well, I can. I'm not. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm somewhat reclined.
Hey.
Hello. No.
Wait, we did? Yeah, we already live. Hey.
We did.
We did.
Yes, we did the live thing. I assume that you guys can
Hear us and see us.
and or preferably both.
Well, yeah. If something's not okay, just let us know.
Indeed. If anyone wants to sound off, I don't know if there's. Let us know if there's an issue or if there's not an. You know what I'm saying.
I'd say let us know if there's an issue. If everything's all right, it's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For our live chat top comments here, I want to answer. Oh, Simply Carl says audio is good.
Thank you.
Good.
Yeah.
That is good.
Yeah.
We'll try to be, what's the word? I guess loud enough.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, that's right, because we're not using mics or anything.
We are not using microphones.
Right. That is unusual.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine for me with the, voice training, but you're okay as long as you remember.
Obviously, yeah. Let us know if I'm being too quiet, but I'm probably going to be sometimes too loud if.
Because you'll get excited.
Yes.
Well, that's what I'm not super worried about.
Excited overall.
Audio for you, because when you get excited, you'll talk more loudly.
Yeah. For sure. Hey, people are joining. That's good. Yeah.
So we get a few minutes before we start getting into the actual
absolutely
Patreon questions.
Make sure the people who ask are actually here.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's hard to say. Some of them might not be because of just timing issues.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Sure. So yeah, there is that. Randy has the first comment, first live chat question or whatever, but I don't know if Randy is here. I want to answer. So Randy, if you're here, let us know and we can, talk to you directly.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that you guys are good. You're doing well. I know for some of you, it's obviously been a little while.
Yeah.
Since you saw us, because Buffy was the main thing. It's totally fair. How long has it been? 3 months? 2 months?
Probably closer to 3, if not more than that.
It's half the season, so whatever that is. But half the season is 12 episodes. That would be 3 months.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Back when TV shows were long.
And it does feel like such a long time ago.
I know. Well, especially because we're doing it in a traditional 1 week.
Yeah. Format.
1 episode per week format.
Yeah.
I kind of like it.
Definitely.
Especially, with all the modern TV shows being in a binge format, it's kind of hard to keep up sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I do like watching multiple episodes in a row, but I way prefer to do it on my own, not because the show's just out.
Indeed. So the 4 people here who commented before we went live, if you want to let us know that you are here so we can respond to you directly. Yeah. Otherwise,
yeah, it's obviously hard to say.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
It's not like we can know for sure.
Indeed. Only 8 episode seasons these days. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. And it feels like some. Oh, that's Ray. Hey! Yeah, that makes sense. That's story of Ray Alexander. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's cool.
Hey, Ray.
Hey.
Okay, so I mean, at least we have. Okay, so Ray and Jade both had questions. So that's Quick Crystal. Dark Jade's Crystal. Yeah. Ray and Crystal both had questions. So we do have.
Wait, don't have questions from Crystal.
We had one on Patreon, didn't we?
No.
Oh, no, we didn't.
No.
Oh, well.
Obviously, we can. Now.
That's my bad.
Yeah.
Sorry, Crystal. I accidentally confused you with somebody else. That's my bad. Jessamine is here. There you go. Wild One Izzy. Okay.
Oh, that's good.
You did leave a question.
Oh, yeah. That's, guys, thanks so much for actually telling us who you are, because obviously
that helps.
The
Crystal says no question.
Yeah.
That's my bad.
Yeah.
Cool. We just want to make sure that the people who asked questions are actually going to get answers, I suppose.
Yeah.
But yeah, the 8 episode seasons these days, it's a bit of some shows should be 8 episodes. It makes sense for Stranger Things, but not everything is Stranger Things, so that's a bit of a bummer. Some shows should be episodic. I was just watching the Captain Midnight video, and I don't know if you guys know Captain Midnight, But I fully agreed with the premise of like some things should be like between 15 and 18 episodes. I think the old 22 episode thing is a bit much for a certain amount of.
Depends.
Well, there's a lot of stories back in the day from people just being exhausted doing a full season, you know.
Sure, yeah.
But at the same time, I think anything less than 15 for certain things is just like not enough time with the characters, not enough time with the story.
Yeah, it absolutely does depend on the story.
Definitely depends on the story.
If you have like a story that's like somewhat bigger than the movie, yeah, it makes sense to make a mini series because it's like whole story.
Exactly.
But yeah, a lot of shows.
Indeed.
Aside from that, though, we do have a couple people here. So
We have Ray and Jessamine at the very least, and we have questions from you guys. So let's get to the questions from those of you who are here.
Yeah, just to make sure.
And thank you, KP, for mentioning that you're happy we're still doing a little update, even if the previous format isn't possible. Because I mean, we really loved making these videos for YouTube, so it was a bit of a bummer when we had to stop at least the YouTube side of it. It's just, I mean, and part of that is because Buffy is a long old school show that does a lot of episodes, and we're just finding it difficult to keep up, at least on the YouTube side of things. Like we did recently do Has Been Hotel, right? But that's only 9 20-minute episodes. So it's much less of a commitment. Yeah, pretty much, right? So you have your question dingy? Oh no, we got them on the notebook. Okay, we just have notebook.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes.
I'm just gonna smallify.
So I can't see what it is.
You can see. What are you talking about?
I can barely see.
As if you can't see.
It's like
fake news.
Gray and gray. Yeah, I don't know. Why is it like?
I'll just cover my own face. That's fine. We don't need to see me. No, I mean you guys can obviously, but
we don't need to see each other.
On our end, we've covered my face with questions, which is fine, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine. It's not the fact that it's small. It's the fact that it's like light gray on dark gray.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
It's definitely on the darker side. Hang on, is this full brightness? Yeah. Well, no, it wasn't.
Well, but still, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, Ray's question was first, so.
Indeed.
Yes, and it's for you. Do you want me to read questions for you, or do you want to read them yourself?
No, I'll read.
Do it.
I'll read my own questions.
Do it. I believe in you.
Wait, which one was for me? Ray.
Favorite character arc.
Okay.
Then it's like Aunt Maria. I'm assuming the first one was just for you.
Favorite character arc from season 3. That's the actual overall arc. That's a tough one. Interestingly enough, I think it's the mayor.
Season 3 is just such a mixed bag. They were like a lot of really good things, and then a lot of like actually not good things. How character handled certain things.
To a degree, it was rough seeing Faith. I guess fall apart is probably the way to put that. Like I understood how and why we got there, especially for the time. Like she needed a better support network, but I can't say that anyone in the group is like wrong for how they necessarily behaved. It's like how much do you really know? You know? So I mean the Mayor and Faith are probably the most interesting and obvious character arcs. I think Xander grew a little bit. He definitely did some growing towards the end of the season, so I was happy with that, even if there's more room.
Oh yeah, for sure.
To grow there, but still.
Yeah, he didn't have like a giant.
Didn't have a giant arc.
Yeah.
Oz didn't have as much of an arc this season either.
Yeah.
Willow had a bit, but it's more like we continued with her arc more so rather than having a big major arc specifically.
For sure, yeah. She's been establishing herself, like she was establishing herself more in season 2.
It's just Well, that's what I was thinking, like kind of both with Willow and Oz, is that they had a bit more arc in season 2. Which is cool. You know?
Hey, right. The Mayor is one of my, I guess, favorite villains of the show for sure. Because it's hidden by the heart. Yeah. But I mean, it makes sense. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The Mayor is just wildly interesting. I thought that there was a great choice for season 3 story arc for like, the overarching story. Yeah, the Mayor is great. I fucking love the Mayor. He's so funny.
Yeah.
Wholesomely evil. I said that in one of our videos, obviously only on Patreon, but Yeah. The mayor.
I would add, I don't know if you agree, but I would say that he's like 1950s wholesome evil.
Yeah,
Because
kind of.
the thought processes that he has for
A lot of
relationships and stuff.
Yeah. He has some like bits of personality from like different decades, I
Which
feel
makes
like.
sense, yeah.
But yeah, I can
But
see what
he's
you're
very
saying.
much like stuck in a lot of ways. He's very modern, but
But a lot of ways he's also very stuck in the past. Yeah, it's true. Which makes sense for his character.
I know, and it's so interesting. I definitely like appreciate him more and more as I watch. I think I did not appreciate him nearly enough or the same when I watched it like the first couple of times.
Sure.
Yeah.
Totally fair.
So that's cool.
And
Maria, that's me. Without spoiling anything, are there any episodes from season 4 you're particularly looking forward to seeing? Sense reaction. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I kind of forget how much I actually like season 4.
Oh.
Really? So yeah, I actually have like a bunch of episodes that I would like to.
You did a little bit of thinking.
Yeah, but
a little bit of research.
I know. I always need to do some thinking because like it's not going to be on top of my head. There's so much stuff going on in our lives and everybody's lives.
Indeed, yeah.
And we watch so much stuff,
And in that sense, for some of these slightly more specific questions, I might have to like look at the episode list again and be like, which one was which?
I definitely I brought up some so you can
of course.
look through stuff. Cool. Okay, so there is a like from episode 9 to 12.
There's a little arc there.
That's all the episodes that I want him to watch.
Like the best.
Like 11 maybe less so, but 9, 10, and 12. And I don't know if I should say the name because it might give something away.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you need to.
Yeah. Obviously, some of them you'll figure straight away. Some you'll have to look up. But yeah, 9, 10, 12, then 15, 16, and 19, I think are the ones that I'm looking forward to seeing him react. The most.
Yeah.
But some others, a little bit more as well.
Cool.
Yes.
Very cool.
Oh my God. Yes. Obviously, that episode is in there, and oh my God, I'm so looking forward to watching it. I really like it.
Interesting to have a character called Hush. This is in the Buffy season. I kind of thought if you had a character called Hush, you put in the Angel show just because the obvious Batman on the nose.
Yes.
Sort of. I mean, they're like they made reference to it a bunch of times, so I figured they're like kind of. They're letting their inspiration be known, which is totally fair.
Sure. Yeah.
But Hush is such a character, like classic Batman villain. So obviously a different character. Right. I assume. That'd be fucking weird if it was the exact same character.
I'd say, don't even specify more what you were saying.
Indeed.
Okay, that's just obvious.
Carl, you have okay, cool.
Yeah.
Carl, we will get to your question very soon.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me just make sure we're not missing anything. Okay, well, Randy didn't sound off, so I don't think Randy's here. I would answer thought we weren't doing this part, but I guess we're not.
Yeah.
Can you read this?
Yeah, it's just like they're excited that we're back, but we're not really back. We're not doing this.
True.
It's pretty much that this comment is connected to the first one.
Totally.
It's like we're not back.
Yeah, I get you.
Doing Buffy on YouTube.
Yeah.
But we obviously wanted to do this.
Mm-hmm. Well.
Yeah, and we will continue doing these.
Thank you, Mika, for the question or.
It's just excitement for us to be back.
I suppose.
Yeah.
Indeed. Okay. Just I don't want to miss anything.
Yeah.
Just, have to wait for series each week because series I'm watching just gets my first new episode. Hang on, still weird. Now we have to wait for series each. That's not. I don't know about that because like having shows all come out in like the binge watch model has pretty much ruined TV. It's a rough one. It's from Crystal.
Yeah, I know. I keep reading it.
I guess they're fully committed to the binge model.
I mean, that's
a lot of people are.
Yeah,
I get it, but
I have done
for
so much of that in my life.
Over time.
But
I
definitely I like slowing down now way more.
Yeah, I mean, I liked the binge model when it first started coming out, but like now that basically everything comes out that way, I disagree with the format. For specific things, maybe it makes sense, but even then, I'd release it in like
not really
chunks.
Yeah, I think everything is just happening too quickly now, to be honest. So
yeah, it's hard. I think it's hard to build a real fan community around something when it all comes out in 1 week, and then we got a couple days to talk about it, but then like not everybody's watching it all at the same time, so some people just don't join the conversation until it's like too late.
A lot. For sure.
That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
And the filler episodes, I appreciate the quotes, the air quotes or whatever, just because it's like, there's some old school filler type episodes were some of the best episodes of those shows. Stargate and X-Files and Buffy are all examples of shows that had filler type episodes, but like some of them are really, really good.
Or just overall like episodic, because
bottleneck, whatever.
Yeah. Like X-Files pretty much started from episodic, just one case by case basis and stuff, even though there is like overarching story.
Yeah. Sure.
I wanted to clarify KP saying I'm here. Can't really tell from the nick who you are from this nickname, or what the fuck are they called on YouTube? Handle? YouTube handle? Yeah, because like I can't really say. Yeah.
That's okay.
Watching in California.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I think we have more Californian audience than any other state,
which
kind of makes sense.
Is not like actually the biggest or one of the biggest states.
Is it one of the biggest states?
Yes.
I suppose that makes sense.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay, Jessamine, got to get to your question now, because now we're going a little bit.
Character or well-being aspects, yeah. Well, most filler episodes are character building type stuff. You get... some of them are world building. I hear what you're saying. Not story arc building, but just like little bits of extra kind of situation. That's fair. Yeah. Nonetheless, so where are we doing? We have
Jessamine
next
questions?
Yes, Jessamine. Okay, so is this me?
I mean, I don't know. Like you start, but I definitely have something to say there.
Well, Ray asked who your favorite was, but who were you most disappointed with?
I can start if you don't really have anything straight away, because I have a very clear answer there.
That's a tough one, because I could say that I was disappointed with probably the gang in general a couple of times in small ways. I think that they could have handled the Cordelia Xander breakup a little bit better as a group, because it sort of felt like she was just isolated and not necessarily forgotten, but just get isolated. I didn't love that, but at the same time I could understand how that happened, why it happened, all that kind of stuff. It's not too much of a sticking point. But then the kind of the same thing is just the handling of Faith and how that all fell apart. But at the same time, it's hard to expect this group of teenagers to have such a deep understanding of Faith's trauma and how to handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's a rough one. I can't say I'm super specifically disappointed with any individual character, more like individual moments from each character or certain characters.
Yeah.
I think each main character had at least one or two moments that were like, oh no, dude, come on.
That's very interesting, because I have the same idea but with different examples, which you might have just forgotten because they were in the very beginning. It's a lot of season. Because I had the same idea. It's not the one character, even though I'm seeing Crystal's comment and I want to address that because I agree. But first, yes, same for me. The overall gang and Giles in particular handling certain things badly, like Buffy's return in the beginning of the season, and then when Angel was revealed that she was hiding him and all of that. The way this was handled was shit. And yes, understandably so from the gang, but from Giles should have been handled better. Even with his trauma.
Yeah.
He's an adult in the room. He should have handled it a little bit better.
That was what I was about to say.
Here you go. I thought that's what you were going to say when you said the gang, because the gang overall had really good moments and some really less good moments, even though it all makes sense. It's not that it doesn't make sense for the gang overall.
Giles' personal feelings towards Wesley and why he was there was a bit of an issue. Early on, it's okay, yeah, I get it. But as it progresses and Wesley actually starts trying to be useful and good or whatever,
that's fair.
And they don't really let him.
Yes,
that's a bit of a bummer.
Yes. Crystal agreed. Giles didn't act as the adult he is in this season, at times, and just a lot of the times.
I would agree. There were definitely times where it's hey, Giles, you're succumbing to everybody else's and like feelings or whatever, but you're the adult here. You're like 40 something.
I think that on specific occasions, the writing actually was kind of bad on that, because on certain, it's understandable that Giles didn't really was kind of out of the picture, but in certain situations he was it's really visible that he was specifically written out of the picture for the plot to happen. Because if he was there and he was more involved, things wouldn't happen the same way. And with Wesley, same, because a lot of the conflict that they had with Wesley, if Giles was a little bit more involved in that, but not in a childish way, which it's okay in the beginning, but then you gotta get it together, get over it, and just do the thing, work on your mission. But he didn't do that until the very end, mostly. So I'd say that's one thing that I don't particularly like how it's written.
If we were able to get more of Eliza Dushku / Faith in the future, what would you like to see from her? Growth. I would like to see her come to a certain amount of just realization about the effects her actions have had, because she keeps having this defiant response where you probably shouldn't be, and I don't disagree with the fact that she's there given what she's been through. I'm not mad at her, but it would be nice to see the show at least recognize that character growth from her would probably be one of the most valuable things they could do. And it would be good if, the gang had a certain bit more understanding for how she got to where she was. I do understand that at a certain point with Faith, she kind of crosses the line, and it's well, it doesn't really matter to a degree now. For them at least, if she's right or wrong, it's more well, you've gone too far, and you have to be stopped. Which that's a tough one. But I would like to see her have a bit of a redemption arc. I'm worried though, because I feel like the majority of the times we have a character go off the rails, go on a bit of a villain arc. If they get a redemption, the amount of times that redemption turns into martyrdom, I don't want to see her become a martyr. I'd rather see her stay a villain than become a martyr. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. Yeah, we've had some bad deaths in a lot of shows.
There's been some other shows we're watching where it's someone finally starts to figure their shit out, starts to make progress, and then they die.
It's good, but it's also becoming a bit
it's a bit what, no one can grow? Ever?
Yeah. Because it always just leads to,
no one can fix their mistakes.
Themselves,
and
that's
it. Yeah. That's the only way they can redeem themselves. Self-sacrifice.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay, so at this point, I have to figure John probably won't be here in the live stream. I assume he's probably going to be here later, after the fact, to just kind of watch the stream after the fact.
Yeah.
Am I wrong? What are you doing?
I'm just I'm making sure that we.
What did you think about Faith's character development this season?
Yeah,
well, I guess I answered that, didn't I? Well, it's kind of good.
The other side characters introduced in the show so far.
I mean, compared to the other characters, I can't say, because some of the other characters in season 3, I wouldn't say changed or grew a lot. Maybe some.
Well, this is in the show so far, and it
overall.
Yeah, but not a lot of characters had the same kind of arc. Some of the characters that even we've had for a while, they haven't had as much development.
Yeah.
I know. For example, Jenny,
yeah,
she's been with us for a while, but I don't think she's already sort of a full, fully formed person, so we didn't really have as much development from her, even though she's been with us for a while. So I don't even know who would we compare Faith arc to.
Yeah. Totally.
If we're missing something, obviously, let us know. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Faith is probably one of the most major side characters, I suppose you could put it.
I know.
Yeah, so that's tough one. In comparison, I can't say, but I mean, I did sort of outline my thoughts on her. Character arc overall. So and I do think that those from Patreon members who aren't here now, some of them will watch back later. So let's at least start getting through some of John's questions, because he was kind of first in the questions.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was hoping you might be available, but unfortunately, guess not. It's not really, people are busy. I get it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, can you rank the seasons so far?
Ooh. That's a difficult one, for me at least. But yeah, you go.
It's tough. I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards 2, 3, 1. Partly just because in season 2 we had the Jenny story arc.
Very strong moment, like one of the strongest, I think, of the show.
Yeah, we also had a lot more Oz and Willow in season 2.
Development.
And then also we had Spike and Drew, who were great characters as well. And then for season 3, it's like, I think there's a lot of great episodes, and the overall story arc is really good, but I wouldn't say there's as much highlightable individual sort of parts, like especially like less Cordelia in season 3.
Yeah,
it's disappointing for me,
and
specifically.
Not like the best writing. Like, we've talked about the progress being non-linear and everything, but just having finished the season 3, they really went like so hard back and forth on some of her development. And I think that was, some of these things were just for the episodes, not really for the character.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I really enjoyed season 3, but I think I'd probably put season 2 just slightly ahead.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
Yeah. That is so funny, because I have the same
exact same
2, 3, 1.
2, 3, 1. Yeah.
Just because like I was even gonna put like 1 before the 3 for a moment there, because I just have a big nostalgia for it, and I love those like episodic stories there.
Yeah.
But I absolutely agree with what you said about season 2. And I think that I sometimes mix season 2 with season 3, because a lot of the stuff that I actually like are from season 2 in that regard, like the characters and the longer storylines, the events. I absolutely agree with what you said about season 2. And about season 3, there are a lot of specific moments and specific episodes that are really cool that we'll get to, because it's also one of the questions about the episodes. But the storylines and the bigger the Oz and Willow thing is definitely more prominent. And I think it's like we've told when we were watching the show, the season 2, I mean, we've said that the way their relationship started is just one of the best.
It's one of the best representations of a teen romance I've probably ever seen.
That people should see and emulate.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of healthy behavior with Oz and Willow.
Yes. Yeah. And like still kind of awkward in figuring it out.
Sure,
absolutely. So
they're open and communicative and supportive, and those are really important things.
Yes. So, yeah. So I'm totally on 2, 3, 1 train there, and the style is so much better in season 2 for me. Like Willow absolutely just continued with her style, and I really like that. But Buffy kind of definitely like dipped for me in style in season 3.
Well, given that we're getting now like 99 for season 4, right?
Yeah.
And then like it's gonna be 2000 for season 5.
Yeah.
Like this is kind of the point in time where I assume the fashion is gonna start going downhill. Because it was a rough period, the early 2000s.
Yeah, I know. And like the late 90s weren't like that. It's just like I really liked the Charm started in 98. So it's when the season 2
was. It is a late 90s show.
Yeah.
I know, but Charm still had like a 90s feel, at least early on.
Definitely. Yeah.
And like I'm not a fan of 90s fashion at all, actually. I just prefer like that mid to late 90s fashion more so than the early 2000s.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
At least in terms of mainstream sort of fashion.
Sure.
Because like by the time we get to like early to mid 2000s, like alternative fashion was doing pretty good, at least in my eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
still can't really compare to 80s and 90s in my opinion. Like it definitely gets some of the things from that period of time, but not as much.
Yeah. So we'll to John's second question here, and then I think we'll come back to the chat questions because we don't want to. Yeah, it will go back and forth a little bit. I think. So ranking the big bad villains so far. I mean,
it's very clear.
Mare. Yeah. Mare is number one, and then so who are the other big bads? We got the Master and
Angel.
Angel essentially.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's the Mare. Yeah. I mean, the Master's fun. He's
but theatrical. The rank. It's not who's the best rank.
Well, yeah, okay. So it's Mare, Master, Angel. Yeah. As a villain, I didn't think Angel was very good at all. He's a good character in general. He's an interesting character just overall, but specifically as a villain,
studying not so human behavior perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I will put Master on the first because
he's fun.
Yes, he's so much fun, and it's like I just feel so much for that very not really developed, less developed kind of villain.
Yeah.
I'm just evil. Yeah, but also the flair.
Yeah, he had a lot of flair. Well, he's very theatrical.
That was really good. So I'd say Master, Mare, and then Angel.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the chat.
Yes.
Okay, so we entered Picard. Now we got Crystal. Yeah. That's the thing is with the show, they can play with how characters hold onto a progressive society if they've been in existence for a couple of centuries, like the Mare, Angel.
Absolutely.
Okay. I agree. I think they did a better job with the Mare than with Angel because there are certain things with Angel I'm like, bro, how do you not know this? 200 years, man.
Yeah.
But a decent amount of things, he's also pretty solid.
Yeah.
Well, that's exactly,
how they write his development.
Indeed.
Yeah.
My attention span prefers binge watching. Yeah, again, I think certain things makes perfect sense. Other things, it basically ruins the show. So it really, really depends.
Yeah, and
like the binge watch model. Just quickly. I think a really good example of how the binge watch model totally fucked certain shows is the Netflix Marvel shows. Some of them should not have been binge watched style. Like the Luke Cage series was just so messy from a songwriting, from a story writing perspective. She hasn't. Well, you have seen them all. Yeah.
Yeah, I have seen them all.
Right?
Yeah.
No, season 1 is
saw some of them twice.
It's like a 6-episode season that somehow has 9 episodes or 10 episodes or whatever. And you're like, what? What's going on here?
Yeah. I think are you done with that particular?
Yeah, I mean, realistically, we're just kind of discussing.
So I want to stress this one thing.
Yeah.
There's a difference with binge watching and episodes being released on the same day. You can binge watch any show at any point.
Yes.
And yes, of course, some I think I'm getting a little lost here, but
well, it's like if you really love a show that was released on a weekly basis, it's great to go back and binge it later on.
You know what? And you don't even have to wait as much. I think what I'm trying to say is a show being released in one day that's not how binge watching came to be.
Yeah.
Binge watching existed before that, and you can still do it for so many shows.
You used to buy the DVD and just watch the whole box.
I have done that a lot.
Yeah. After the fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's more of shows being released in a binge watch format, all in one day.
Hurts.
That's what hurts.
Yeah, it hurts both the industry and the audiences and the actor. It's just it hurts everybody overall.
Yeah.
And you can totally watch however you like.
I would say I prefer binge watching stuff, but after the fact.
Yeah. For sure. So it's more you can watch it the way you like it, but it is bad for the creators and the audience for shows to be binge watched. The more you look into it, the more you see how bad it actually is.
Oh yeah, the amount it has screwed the industry and the artists and everyone involved. It's not good.
Yeah. So it's not the binge watching. It's more releasing everything in one day.
Yeah. If you want to watch it all in a binge fashion, I think that makes sense.
Yeah. Or
for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Especially for really serialized things. It's almost I could get mad being what do you mean I have to wait a whole week for the next storyline? But it's sort of necessary for certain things.
Yeah.
It's a trade-off with new shows. My short-term memory doesn't hang on to details if I have to wait a week in between, but I love the sense of community watching something week to week with people.
Absolutely.
I mean that's a big part of it for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I kind of know what you mean. Say when the CW Arrowverse was running, I had a habit of like I would wait maybe like a few weeks for like a bunch of episodes from each of the shows to be released, and then I'd sort of like do like 2 or 3 at a time, and then wait a couple of weeks, and same thing like that, instead of watching them just once every week. But then, like, it really depends, you know.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, when Stargate was on TV, I watched it every week like that. But then I did miss a bunch of stuff that way too.
Yeah.
But that means it gave me the opportunity to sort of be involved with it every week, stay with these characters every week while I was on, and then go back and catch up on all the things I missed later.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
Absolutely, and it definitely like another reason aside from the community aspect and like time.
Yeah.
You can watch more shows that way as well.
Yeah.
And I always liked it because that's like how I watch things as well. There was like certain day had certain shows, like some days had multiple shows.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't know, that was like really good.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that a lot. I wanted to like be involved in multiple things. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess to be clear, I think there's a certain amount of middle ground between episodic and binge watch type stuff. You just like you go too hard on the binge side of things, and it like kills the industry. So you have to find that middle ground.
I think we shouldn't
and again, okay, no, not in the watching, binge releasing.
Yes, releasing
the
it
binge
all in
release
one
schedule.
fucking day.
It's not the watching part of it that's the problem.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah,
that's
like if it's released every week and it still has like 13 episodes, that you can watch it after it's released. You know, and still binge it.
I definitely would do that for a certain amount of shows where I'd wait at least half the season or the whole season. I remember early on, before I realized I might be hurting the shows I love, I would wait like 2 or 3 years and be like, no, I'm gonna watch several seasons all in a row. No, there were certain shows that would be like, I love that show. I'm gonna check in like 2 years, make sure it's still going.
Wow.
And then I'll binge it all in one.
Yeah, and then you realize that it's actually like really bad for the show.
It's probably actually hurting the shows I love. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Oh, that's fair. KP, I like binge watching, but I also like having something to look forward to every specific day of the week.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Agree. Yes.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we covered the binge side of things. So let's get back to John.
Favorite episodes.
I might have to have a look.
You should. Okay.
Do you have a list?
Take a look. Yeah, I opened the list.
You brought it up already?
Yeah. Oh, well, I knew you won't remember, and I didn't remember. I just
I'm trying to remember every episode or whatever. It's a bit,
okay, so here you just like go from 1 to there's like short stuff there.
I see.
Yeah. Well, while he's watching, I have a bunch. That's how I realized that I do have a lot of like favorite episodes from season 3.
Yeah.
And like specific events and stuff.
Yeah, this is actually an easy one because you can start with your favorite episode type stuff, and then I'll
you can like figure out yours. Okay, so first one is prom. It's just. Of course. And I remember there was a comment about prom there later as well. Yes, absolutely. Like Buffy recognized for her work, that it does make me cry too. Doppelgangland. I mean, that was amazing with Willow, of course. The alternate storyline, which I'm sure you'll be there as well. Zeppo. The character development from Xander actually saving the world.
Yes.
Awesome. Gingerbread, because it's witch trials.
Yeah.
Obviously. Yes. The Wish, I think, is also it's because it's the beginning of the alternate world story, you know. So I think that one was really good, and I always I remember it really well. The Wish and Doppelgangland for sure.
Band Candy was
so much fun. I know a lot of people don't like that episode, but I definitely do. It's so entertaining.
Yeah.
And actually the first one when Buffy helps and over all the people there.
No, that's fair. That was a good one.
So that was great.
I would also include the Spike episode, Lover's Walk, just because it's Spike.
Oh my God! But that was so horrible for Cordelia.
Yeah, it was rough.
Oh, I hate that.
Part. It's the Spike part.
No, I know. Spike obviously is like the highlight of that episode.
I really enjoy Spike as a character.
Xander and Willow are just killing me in that episode.
So no, that's entirely fair. Yeah. But you're right. Yeah, like the Wish. Basically that story, alternate reality. Both of them exactly. Yeah. But yeah, I like the only other thing I would say was really a favorite. It's kind of not really an episode; it's just the moment is the prom part. Because that is.
No, but you can still say, well, why wouldn't it be?
Yeah.
Episode. It's pretty much everything kind of led to.
I suppose. Yeah, that's probably fair. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Because some of the stuff towards the end of this season is sort of like all one story arc, which is good. But I wouldn't like single out a specific episode.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, prom. And even just the fact that like Buffy and Angel have to face like the hard truths about their relationship, like, oh shit, this is not gonna work.
Yeah.
That's also kind of important. So
yeah, I'd say another episode on the, like you said, it's moment, not the episode. Obviously another moment like that is in the graduation where all the students reveal that they all have weapons and they're all gonna fight.
Yeah, that's pretty good
episode. Yeah. So a very strong moment. So yeah, like there are actually like a bunch of these very, very good ones.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Now
favorite guest character is kind of hard.
Yeah, John asked favorite guest character. It depends on what you define as guest character. Like if we're just talking about like anyone who was on the show for like a 1 or 2 episode arc or whatever, even then I'm not really sure.
Oh no, because that's like that's not even that. That's like super. You have to actually look into every episode now to remember all the like all the guest characters that might have actually meant something in the moment, but you forgot later on. Aside from the more prominent ones like Spike and Jenny, all the ghosts.
Jenny. And they're kind of only guests because they're not as much of a part of this season.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Or when they were previously, not at all a part of the season. When they were previously recurring characters.
Ethan Rain is the better because he's always the guest character.
That's true. I do love Ethan.
Yeah.
I mean, it's unfortunate to just be like, it's the recurring characters from previous seasons. Those are my favorite guests in season 3. It's kind of true, though.
No, I mean, it is kind of hard to, I feel like I actually need to look through every episode's list of actors to remember, to find that interesting guest character that I might have thought about in the moment, but I don't remember now. Doesn't mean that they weren't interesting. And
I liked getting into the Jonathan story arc because I thought it was like an important one. But he's a recurring character. It's just that we had an episode that had more of him.
It's fair to highlight, and it actually was also a good episode.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. I think there was parts of it that were like not the best written, like him being in the watchtower, and then they're like leading up to like he's gonna be a shooter, and it's like, why would you have it? But then he's like actually going to commit, and you're like, but why would he be in the watchtower with a freaking like sniper rifle if he's just going to commit?
Kill himself?
Yeah. You can't. You want to be careful about how you say that. But yes,
that's fair. Yeah, I mean it's not fair, but I guess it is.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. For
kind
sure.
of a rough one.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's see what we have here. Chat.
Yeah. Okay, has username. Yeah, username's fine. Username, handle, whatever. I'm glad that thanks for mentioning username because I was like, why do I have just nickname in my hat? That's not it.
Yeah. Username is probably.
I just got through that.
Yeah.
Charles didn't act.
Act the adult. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The members from Patreon coach. But yep, that's true. Thoughts on the prom? Well, yeah. I mean, the prom was great. Again, especially just like that moment of pretty much the entire school being like, yeah, hey Buff, just to let you know, we do see that. Yes. Thank you. That was great.
Yeah, one of the strongest moments is like it's so like small and like simple.
Yeah, because I mean, like this is also not the first time I've loved a character who is sort of inherently not incapable of getting recognition because of their position, but like it's much harder for them to be recognized because of what they do has to be in secret. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of characters like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Booster Gold is one of my favorites, and he basically can't be recognized as the hero that he is because that would ruin his job, which is a bit of a bummer for that character, but it's an interesting story dynamic to have. Yeah. 2000s fashion took a weird turn for sure. Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. I think it's honestly just like the start of every decade has like a little weird few years where like people don't really know what.
Yeah, but all of the other starts weren't as bad. Like
it was probably
70s
the worst
going on 80s were pretty good. 80s going on 90s pretty good. 90s going 2000s
not so good.
Like again, the late 90s were still really good, but that early 2000s,
Though I will say like those decades were all a little bit more clearly defined because the 2010s, like the fuck defines the 2010s?
Well, obviously 2010s, you can say.
No, I know.
I mean, in comparison
we haven't even got that.
These,
Obviously, it's sort of irrelevant to this conversation, but you know.
Yeah.
Same thing with the start of the 2020s.
No, obviously there are some.
Am I just too far out of pop culture now?
You were definitely out of it. But I think 2020s, what defines 2020s is a mix of all the previous decades.
Yeah.
And a big mix. Because earlier there was way less of that. Now it's really, really late 90s and early 2000s is kind of very, very present and mixed in with whatever is happening now.
Indeed. Well, the larger access to past pop culture makes a big difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's good and bad.
Now it's fun. Now we finally have the thing that I've always wanted and done on my own, just mixing styles and mixing decades.
Taking
now it's actually happening.
Sort of area.
I just liked obviously movies and shows from 80s and 90s because but now it's just up because obviously people have more access, like you said.
Yes.
And it's kind of cool. I like it. I think we do need to have a certain amount of variety, experience different things and then come up with our own style and whatever other,
I would agree. I felt like Faith was the first character that was really fleshed out and felt the most human. I would
the recurring, you mean?
If you mean recurring character, I would largely agree. Again, in terms of recurring side characters, sort of thing, to a degree. And she is the most realistic in the sense, well, to a degree, in the sense of how she's struggling internally, and no one really fully understands that she's struggling, how she's struggling, or what to do about it. And that is pretty accurate, sadly, to real life. It's I have been fortunate enough to be able to be there for a few people before they went off the rails in my life, but I've also seen people that I did not know how to help. So there's that. I think The Wish really highlighted what kind of villain the Master was, even though it wasn't his season.
You know what? Yes.
Right?
Remember The Wish? The whole point is that Master won. And the world is how he sees it.
Yeah. Well, I always love alternate timeline, alternate reality type storylines because it's just interesting to get into,
Yeah, for sure.
Should include the 1 episode villains also. And
well, that definitely.
That's gonna be
Crystal,
way too much.
You gotta do that ahead of time.
That's an ahead of time
for
thing.
the next time, for the next season. Prepare that question for us before we do the Q&A because we really need to, and it's not going to be enough to go through the episodes like we just did. We actually need to go a bit deeper into the episodes to get who the villain was and actually go through all of them. So that's definitely something that gotta be prepared ahead of time. I think it's a really good question.
No, it is a good question, but you're right, it needs something that needs to be thought about to a degree because you got to remember with this show, it's my first time going through it. Takes us 5 months to get through each season, and we are also making movie commentaries and commentaries for other things. We said we did Has Been Hotel. I'm currently covering Arcane, and we watch a lot of stuff on our own. It's really hard to look back that hard on a season just off the top of our heads. And we'll just.
It might have been season.
We'll just reply to Crystal's next thing, then go back to John's questions, and then we'll get back to you, Kelly, and so on. We have more people. That's cool. Good. That's cool. So it might have been season 2, but still this stepdad guy coming to Buffy's life from nowhere and how he kept trying to have the perfect relationship. Absolutely. That's. I mean,
that is a good example of guest character, but it is from season 2.
It is from season 2. And it's a very interesting take, but the fact that he's just a robot version of a guy from
God, that's just so good.
Several years ago. It's good from a story perspective, but you could also see I mean, this guy cannot grow. He's a fucking robot.
No, he created himself
He created a copy of himself in the 50s or 60s or whatever.
Obviously never grown,
because
he's not that
How do you change from there?
Computer.
Yeah. He's not AI, guys.
Yeah, I know. He can adjust and adapt and all that. Okay, we're actually not talking about real AI.
That's all good. How has the show grown? Has it met or exceeded any expectations?
Oh, that's for you.
I mean, I would say it's more or less met expectations.
I'll be back in a sec.
For sure.
Yeah.
I assumed that we would get slightly more character stuff and more serialization the further we went, and that's more or less true. The only thing I could really say that like didn't meet expectations, or the two things I would say didn't meet expectations, I honestly thought that they actually would handle Faith's trauma and issues a little bit better. I'm not shocked that they did it the way they did. Okay, better is not the right word, because it's not like it's badly written. It's more like I just would have hoped to have seen that more on a personal level, because I think it's important to see characters who have real like emotional struggles for real reasons, but then show like ways that they can get out of that and grow. Where what we ended up with Faith is just kind of watching her continue to go off the rails, which may be true to life, but doesn't really help much in the way of like, you know, understanding ourselves as people. Not that that's a necessary thing, but you know, it would have been good. I would have enjoyed it, you know. I don't know if you want to answer there for Maria as well. I suppose so, but Maria will be back in 5, 4. No, I'm not going to do the countdown. She's right here. For you, how has the show grown, and has it met or exceeded any expectations? I mean, to be fair, that second part of that doesn't really make any sense for you because you haven't seen it. But
interestingly enough, I think the biggest growth
was season 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you were just talking about?
Well, no, but I mean, we kind of did say that before. As why season 2 is probably slightly.
I think there are a lot of good moments in season 3. Character moments, like Faith and May are great arcs in season 3 for sure.
Yeah.
But from our main characters,
I can't say there was a lot of growth from the main characters.
Yeah. So the biggest development did happen in season 2, and now in season 3 we were like just going with what happened in season 2, you know, and like some moments again, like the way the rest of the characters treated Buffy a lot throughout season 3 is not great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, there was definitely some stuff with like
it's several things.
But to be fair, there's been stuff with like how people treat Buffy through the entire show.
That's fair. Just like kind of the worst in season 3.
That's
she
true.
Needs the most support, and she gets the very opposite of that.
Yeah, I think the lack of recognizing how difficult it would be to be the Slayer is probably like the.
And again, mostly from Giles though, because the rest of them are still kids.
Yeah, the rest of them are still
kids. Even
though
they've already experienced some stuff.
Indeed.
But yeah, if we're talking like story wise, it's still season 2. Like season 3 is good. It is very good, but it didn't grow as much as like 1 to 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, that's all good, but that is kind of how it is for that. And writing, I think, also was like really, really good in season 2, and there are like some great moments in season 3, but also some dips as well.
Yeah. That's fair. Is there a show that you have seen transferred from high school to college effectively? Or
Good
I mean,
question.
I would say that there's probably a bunch of shows that did it relatively effectively. The question is, which one could we say we enjoy or appreciate the most? It's got to be Veronica Mars. I mean, maybe because they like take on like really important, serious young adult stories for college for Veronica Mars, but they're also stories that like they make sense. They're important.
Yeah. That's really cool. I'm glad that you said that, because I didn't have that one in my mind. But yeah, you're right. They did handle it really well. I actually was and again, it's the shows. Some of these shows that go from high school to like uni, college, they are quite different from one another, and they can be good in different ways. Like what I'm thinking is One Tree Hill right now.
Which I obviously haven't
seen. Yeah, but I do think that they handle things well from just like kind of regular life perspective, because Veronica Mars is, you know, a more specific show.
Indeed.
You know?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to getting to One Tree Hill.
Yes.
I am sad that based on what we've done so far with movie and TV reactions, it doesn't seem likely that we would be able to do One Tree Hill on YouTube. it's just like it's a large commitment, and we got a super chat. Oh, that's nice. Hang on.
Yeah, let's get there, but we'll come back.
No, thank you,
Tia. Yeah, thanks so much.
We appreciate the love, of course.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's very important for us as we are still working towards being technically profitable as a
or just
company,
not,
as an entertainment business.
Yes.
But I mean that's true for a lot of entertainers, a lot of creatives. It is hard to make money in entertainment,
But
the
high school to college is
I mean, for me, it's obviously like it's Veronica Mars, but then I can only think now like of so many shows that I've seen recently enough for them to do that, because like Smallville did that, but like I can't even remember. I don't think who went to college in Smallville.
I know, that's exactly what I was thinking. First thing I thought of was One Tree Hill, and that's great. Like I do think that they handle it well, and I actually really like the seasons post high school.
Yeah.
And Veronica Mars, I'm glad you had that option.
Yeah.
But I did think about the fact that there has to be some recency in like me watching those shows to remember. Like I really like 90210, but it's been so long
time.
Yeah. So I have seen the first seasons more than the later ones, so it's kind of even hard to say how well they handled it at the time.
I'm struggling right now to think of the other shows that I've seen that did progress from high school to college.
Like, and in which way as well, like was it good for the story, for the characters, for both? Was the writing good?
Like for me, that I've watched a lot of sci-fi shows where, like, even if they were in high school, it just it wasn't really the point or like major sort of
and
story.
Like some didn't even like fully get there. Like with Teen Wolf, obviously they go through several years, but they don't exactly like show specific moments.
There's a certain amount of the real life stuff that they don't really get into.
Or there's like some jump in, and there are like other shows like that weren't like specifically high school to college.
Well, like some of the YA shows that I liked, they just weren't covering school or regular life. Like The 100 is about teenagers going into young adulthood, but they're not in school in any way.
And like The Vampire Diaries, I didn't particularly like when they went to uni storylines. By that point, I liked the originals way more than The Vampire Diaries. So
tough. Okay. Hey, Kelly. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Been for a while.
Ted always freaks me out. When I was younger, I'll always skip the episode when rewatching. That's fair.
Yeah, I didn't skip, but I definitely had that same kind of feeling of like
very very, very curious. Very not curious. I mean, curious, but very concerning character.
Yes, exactly.
He's one of those ones you're like, oh God, no.
And it's obviously like even more concerning when you think about him as a real person, not as a robot. That definitely makes it even more concerning.
If you think of him as a real person, for sure, that's the concerning part, absolutely. Especially considering the amount of fucking like dudes out there who are exactly that guy.
Exactly.
For sure.
Hey, I did that with The Office.
I'm assuming you mean binge watching.
Yeah.
But again, okay, I think hope this is sort of where we got into the discussion of binge watching versus binge releasing.
Yeah.
It's the binge release format that's the problem. Binge watching something after the fact is not necessarily good or bad. It's very individual.
Yeah.
It's how you're, it's just what you have time for and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Especially if you're watching in an official capacity, which is not always easy to do depending on the show and the network it's on.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But if you're going back after the fact and watching something like The Office on like whatever streaming service is on, just binge watching it on your own time, that's not bad at all. So is it just me, or are you guys buffering here and there to others watching?
I hope it's not happening still.
I had to turn down the quality. Mine is fine. Might check the resolution, video quality. Cheers. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, Crystal, like given that you're Australian, it is just like the shitty Australian internet. Like you know that Australia has like the worst internet in the world, right? So that doesn't help. Mine is fine. Should I visit? I'm late, but you are here. So funny, like specifically Tia, not Tamara.
Yeah,
that's a funny
I
name,
do
man.
I actually did think about your handle recently.
Yeah. I'm like we don't know the twins well enough. We've only seen like 3 movies with them in it, and none of our shows, but it's still funny.
Yeah.
The grad class fighting back is another one that gets me. Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. Yes.
How about Buffy's mom as a side character?
I mean, I guess, yeah. But I can't really say that she's had like growth much of it. Like,
I wouldn't say we got enough of her.
Accepting of Buffy's calling, but
but that's about it. Like that was just went from her not knowing to knowing and freaking out, and then to being like kind of accepting of it, but not 100%.
Yeah.
And that's kind of all we really get from her.
Yeah. Like I don't think we get like nearly enough development from her to like
really.
Yeah.
I'm kind of with that. Elise is here, editing Buffy and forgot about the live.
That's okay.
That's okay, Elise. Yeah. I mean, obviously the editing of the next Buffy is important. For those of you wondering what Elise means, because she's not editing it for YouTube, our Patreon episodes, we edit the audio so you can hear us and the movie as well as possible. And Elise does the majority of the audio editing for our Patreon episodes at this point in time. Like there's a certain amount of stuff that I do ahead of time to set up the show, like detailed audio engineering, EQ type stuff. But then Elise sort of picks up after that and handles the larger chunk of like work, I guess. Because like the parts that I have to do for the audio at this point in time, I have like put into presets. I made a preset. I made a preset that's like our audio. It took me like 4 years to figure out exactly what I wanted those presets to be, but I did it.
And for like Buffy especially, because there's not a lot of variation there, but for movies you still have to adjust certain things.
With movies I still have to adjust because it depends. Like every movie is a little bit different in how they were mixed and whatever, and it depends on if it was a cinema release or straight to TV /and/or DVD. Those are different things. And then animated movies are mixed differently to live action movies. But at least with Buffy and Angel, it's going to be more or less the same thing throughout the whole run, because like they're trying to be consistent. There has been some progress, I would say, in the audio and visual editing, I suppose, from the Buffy show, but I still have to fix certain things, especially because they're ripped off DVDs. There's going to be a certain loss of quality, that has to be kind of corrected for. Can't wait till he sees Ethan in next season. He gets even funnier. That's
oh my god! That's obviously I don't know if you.
That's fair. I mean, I've enjoyed Ethan so much so far. Yeah. So yeah, don't know if I was where.
Not you, Tia. I don't know if you were there when I mentioned that like the 12th episode is the one that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, right. And
it's one of the episodes.
Ethan is part of that story arc, is what you're saying. That's cool. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, Ethan's great. He's such a funny guy.
It's true. Yes. Yeah. Very entertaining.
Totally. The gang zombie dude. It was a whole side story without much of Buffy's presence. Yeah, the zombie.
Well, that's the
Zeppo or whatever.
Episode. Yeah. With.
Yeah, man, I remember that. That was rough. It was a good episode. But the zombie guy or guys, the guy trying to not necessarily the guy who was the zombie who was concerning, but then the guy.
Wait, they were all zombies.
Wait, what are we talking about?
Zeppo episode when like Xander gets a car and gets in with the dude.
Oh yeah, that's a totally.
Zombies.
I was thinking of the one who brings his football player friend back to life. No, that's a different episode. My bad.
Yeah. That's not the friend.
I remember. Yeah, what you're talking about. But
you're thinking about the like Bride of Frankenstein
kind of
episode in the beginning of season 2. Yeah. This is, I'm assuming, because the gang zombie. The gang zombie.
I see. The zombie gang of guys. They were entertaining.
But the Xander and like him saving the world in that episode is obviously.
I think it's really valuable. Especially because Xander, had some dumb moments. For like as a just kind of being a dude, realistically, like a teenage guy just doing dumb teenage guy stuff. It was good to have him have some of those growth moments, because he is a real person, and he, you know, well, you know what I mean in terms of being a character, but
yeah,
you know, Xander does deserve to have growth and deserve to have a certain amount of redemption. I think there has been a certain amount of people who seem to think that Xander is just like beyond redemption of any kind, and I don't agree with that. You know, yeah. Hey guys, it looks like I'm in the Patreon movie suggestion chat. That's true. Yeah, Daniel.
That is very true.
For those of you guys who don't or who aren't part of the Patreon, whatever, Daniel has managed to get his suggestions picked more than anyone. Just complete fucking luck. So good work on being lucky, I suppose. Because we just have that one movie suggestion thing every month. It's just a lottery.
Yeah.
But, you know, keeps coming out on top. So go hard, man. Should I have got the movie file, be the good drive the Patreon poll winner? Haven't looked, but thank you for doing that. We will look into that. Hopefully it's all good.
Yeah.
I mean, assuming that it's a clean file and everything.
Getting those kinds of files.
Yeah, some of these movies that we've done in recent times, mostly for Patreon, but a couple of ones on YouTube too, is just like, man, finding them.
Hard to get.
Finding them is bitch.
Yeah.
Like finding a decent quality copy that we can actually watch without me having to like fix all of the audio.
But honestly, fixing is less
it's
of
not
a
even
thing.
the biggest issue.
It's like actually getting the file, being able to find the file. And it's like sometimes it takes actually a while for us to even do that before we can film and everything.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with the Google Drive, we'll just have to look
and see if we can use it, or we'll have to find something else.
Yeah, if it works, obviously we'll let you know. If it doesn't, I mean, same thing. We'll let you know either way.
Yeah.
Do we get Buffy and Angel same time from y'all? Yes. So essentially, like the majority of episodes, it'll just be like one Buffy, one Angel every week. But then we know that there are a couple of moments where continuity kind of goes in and out a little bit there. So we will adjust. For those parts of the story, for those times, like when it comes to a story where like the crossover is like a few episodes apart or something, we'll just have to have like a week of like 2 Buffy or 2 Angel or whatever the case may be to make it work.
Angel
or 4. Yeah. So but we'll
which is like rough. I understand that it's rough for everybody who wants to get Buffy in.
For those people who only want to watch Buffy, that's going to be a lot fun. I assume if for those people who are watching Angel with us, that you will also be a fan of Buffy. It'd be kind of odd, but I mean, maybe there's some people who only like the Angel show. Who knows?
I would assume like some, but
maybe. Season 3 is more coming of age for Buffy. I mean, that's. To a degree, I mean, I would say that the whole show,
all 3 seasons. But I get what you're saying. Like the first season was more of a just like us getting to know her. The second was her going through some things, and like 3 kind of getting.
It's more coming into her own a little bit more.
Yeah,
not fully, but definitely more so for sure.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
her growth's definitely been stunted a bit in season 3.
Sorry, I was just thinking of the YouTube channel. This is stunted growth. It's a basketball thing.
Okay. Yeah. Dawson's Creek did the high school to college transition pretty good.
Yeah, it's been so long since I saw Dawson's Creek, man. I don't know. And quite frankly, when Dawson's Creek was doing the high school to college transition, I was still in high school. So I don't fucking know how old they did it.
I only got a little bit into college years of Dawson's Creek, so I actually haven't finished the show. But I do remember like the beginning of that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I didn't even get to college in there. Oh, that actually reminds me. The OC did the college, like school to college. In both
cases, I watched those on TV. I don't fucking remember. It was like 20 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's like 6 years in between these shows, but
still, just both cases.
No, for sure.
One's just slightly further back.
Well, I think the OC came out when you already didn't have TV, though.
No, that's not true. I watched the OC on TV. I might have not seen the final seasons.
Oh, wait.
But I watched at least the first 3 seasons on TV.
A couple seasons in, because I'm pretty sure it was like 2004. Am I wrong?
I can't remember the exact times and years and all that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah.
I do know that I didn't finish the OC, but I remember that being more just from like getting tired of that shit.
That's fair. Yeah.
You know, the OC kind of started to go wild.
Well, yes, that did happen.
Yeah. To elaborate on that Patreon question about expectations of the season, for Maria, has rewatching it changed how you interpreted the show? Because I also first saw it in my late teens, and this is a decade later revisit. I think it is different to not be as close to the age of the characters. Well, yeah, that makes sense. What do you think?
Well, it's not in any way the same for me, because I watched it first when I was a little kid. Like I was a small child when I. Yeah.
Because this is a you question, I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Go do that. Yeah. So it is. Things have definitely changed over the years, but because I started as a small child, and then like I watched the show, like I'm 29 now, and I don't remember exactly when I started watching the show, but I was like, let's say I was like 6 or 7 or something like that, right? So over the years, from that to now, I've seen the show multiple times through different periods of life, and it did change every time to a degree. Like there are definitely highlights from different seasons, from different years for me, but because it's not exactly like watching something 10 years after, because I've actually like seen it multiple times over the years, but because I've also seen so many other shows over that period of time, it's like there's still so many things that I need to watch again to remember, you know? So like it's kind of similar but different to what you described. And it definitely has like my interpretation definitely has changed over the years and how I was growing up overall, and growing as a person and just having more experiences in life. Because I do remember watching it earlier, I don't know, maybe when I was like young teen or something like that. And I remember like not liking Buffy in some of the moments. And I absolutely do not have that now. I am very much like, I care for her and I want to help her. I absolutely do not have that like, oh, I'm annoyed with her. Like I did have that as a young teen, I think. So a lot actually has changed, but in slightly different ways, you know, from certain periods of time.
You probably have a bit more perspective on the amount of pressure that she's actually under.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But it is kind of weird. That's like, I'm glad you asked this and gave your example as well, because my example is kind of complicated.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just like watching and then coming back to it, or like just again.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So like a lot has changed. I like certain characters and certain arcs a lot more, primarily because I understand more now. That's actually a good thing that you pointed out. Like I appreciate Mayor way more now. I really liked season 2 and the overall storyline there, like all the way through the years. But I do think that I overall appreciate more things now. You know?
Totally.
Yeah.
Sure.
And like I'm more open to things and ideas as you know the time. Yes, as the time goes, I will get more open to things. So I think that definitely helps me enjoy a lot of the things more and understand, and maybe be like frustrated with certain things, you know, how they handled or how they're written.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Sure. Yeah. Cool.
I hope that, you know, answers it more or less.
Ray says, thank you for all you do. Well, thank you for noticing. Watching things you put out feels like sitting down and watch something with old friends, entertaining and relaxing. Glad to keep supporting. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, because I mean that's exactly sort of the hope. It's like, I mean, for me, when I started doing movie reactions, like I wasn't really thinking reaction, because I used to watch recaps. Like Emergency Awesome used to do recaps of like all of the Arrowverse shows after the fact, just sort of discussing all the little details and stuff. And that was kind of my version of like getting to sit down and discuss my favorite shows with my nerdy bud. You know, so I guess like this is kind of like our version of that to a degree, because we're just kind of going through it more in the moment. And realistically, that works a bit better for me, because like we get to just feel and think off the top of our heads. And I really like, I don't know, I really like being able to share the love of good storytelling with others who enjoy it. So being able to do this as like a job is definitely like a dream for us as big fans of storytelling and TV shows and movies. And yeah, we love sharing that. So thank you to those, well, pretty much all of you, guys, for being there with us on this journey of discovering and discussing storytelling.
Yeah.
It's yeah. Okay. Shell says
the only ones I remember are in the early 2000s or 90s, like Dawson's Creek.
Totally.
You probably mean the high school to college.
Yeah, high school to college transition. Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think of anything past that, but like by the time the 2010s came around, the Arrowverse was kind of taking up my entire TV watching experience, almost. There was some other sci-fi stuff I was definitely watching at the time, like Dark Matter and Killjoys, but by this point, Stargate, all versions of what was done. Yeah, exactly. But I wasn't the only teen show I can think of that I was watching at this point in time was The 100. And again, they weren't in high school. This is future.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah,
I love The 100, by the way.
2010s, like, oh my god,
I've seen The 100 like 6 times.
Sorry, I just remembered something that I just like completely forgot. Like, Pretty Little Liars is a 2010s show, like that went from teen to college.
Yeah,
but like they skipped the college, so I guess it's
they skipped college.
Yes.
That's funny.
Yeah. Well, they didn't skip, but they're like, we finish high school and then the next season is like several years.
They had a time jump.
Yeah, but they obviously do. Well, not obviously, because I don't know why I'm saying obviously. Sure. They do show us flashbacks from like the college years.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
But overall, there hasn't been as many teen shows, I think, in 2010s as before that.
Like
there's
90s,
2000s.
Some, but they're not.
No, some for sure. But
what are the teen shows of the last 10, 15 years?
Well, again, The Vampire Diaries and Pretty Little Liars and like Teen Wolf, I think, are the biggest ones.
And the only one out of those that I think I actually really want to watch is Teen Wolf.
Oh yeah, of course.
Pretty Little, from what I've heard, Pretty Little Liars is a show that might make me real mad. So but just people keep saying that to me, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll trust you, man.
Oh, I mean, I guess, but then I think that like moments like that in fucking every show.
But is it moments?
It's just there are just small moments in this show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, maybe
it started actually like really well.
Said, so.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah, Teen Wolf is definitely something we should watch one way or another. Like I really am. Channel. Yeah. I really am looking forward for us to checking out Teen Wolf and One Tree Hill. I think
those are the two. Yeah, we're definitely still going to be looking at. I can't say we're going to cover on YouTube or Patreon.
I know, especially.
I would love to, but I really don't know if we're just going to be capable.
But they're both long shows.
I know.
You know?
That and like
One Tree Hill
us trying to do like the long show types, just the way we do it, because we like to discuss everything in detail. There's 2 of us, and that creates a big editing situation.
Yeah.
For those of you guys who aren't really aware of why it's so much more difficult for us to cover something like Buffy or whatever, anything that's like a long running big TV show, is just the way we handle it. For a lot of other people there, maybe like a single person or the 2 people involved don't want to get too much in discussing it because like, that's just not who they are or whatever. But we talk a lot for one. We pause a lot.
And we keep as much as possible.
We keep as much of the show as possible. Like most other channels, they'll only keep like a quarter of the episode in their video. If that.
Because a lot of
if that. Yeah. Whereas we keep about half of the episode. Yeah. And it does take a lot to do it that way, to do it in a detailed way. And I prefer that we both do. Like we don't want to drop the quality. So it's like, how do you do that without dropping the quality? And if you guys know anything about economics and stuff, it's just like if you want to do something good quality, you have to choose between like with fast and cheap. You can't do it fast, cheap, and good. That's just doesn't work. Yeah.
So like there is a big difference in how we do shows and how a lot of people do shows. Yeah. And like, both and many different options are valid.
Yeah, everyone's approach is valid. It's just that our approach is like very time consuming.
Yeah, and we definitely we wanted to keep as much show as we can and talk a lot.
Yeah.
So
it's really disappointing that we couldn't
we just
continue
can't
Buffy.
Have like a 20-minute episode, a 20-minute video for a 40-minute episode with
cutting too much
us
stuff.
Talking and actually keeping a lot of the show, because it might seem like in 20 minutes video there's like a lot of show cap, but no, it's like 5 to 8 minutes max.
Yeah.
and we really wanted to have more.
Yeah, and I've definitely spoken to other creators about like how much like they're keeping and stuff, and it seems with most of the people I've spoken to, they keep a lot less than we do.
Yeah.
You know, and in some cases it is because they are solo people, solo reactors, solo channels. So it's a little bit easier for them to do it that way, but you know.
Yeah. But yeah.
Curious on how
Yeah.
I lost
Where are you?
We're going back. Oh my god.
Okay.
Thank you guys for being so involved.
Yeah.
We will get through everything.
We'll get there. Yeah.
Okay, so Shell. No, Tia. I'm curious on how Maria thinks of Willow's weird possessiveness over Xander. Think about it. I wouldn't call it weird.
You mean like
just because
more so in the beginning of the show though, because
well, she's kind of moved past that now.
Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
Yeah, I gotta say we both didn't love what was happening between Xander and
Willow
in the season.
The actual part where Xander and Willow actually sort of
kind of had an affair, you know,
sort of. Yeah, that was not
like
great.
Like I'm not mad at them
not mad
for
at
that,
anyone,
but
it's just a
did
bummer.
not enjoy watching that.
Did not enjoy it,
like it's one thing to have it happen like in 1 or 2 episodes, them trying to figure it out.
Like 3 or
but
4
then
episodes
we had way more than that, and all of these like touchings and everything. Like I wish they would figure that out earlier, you know. So yeah, not amazing. But I wouldn't say it's like just Willow's weird possessiveness. It's like overall them,
just their relationship. They need to figure that shit out.
I feel like they both thought that they lost out on each other before they realized that no, we are actually not romantically involved.
But I mean, I'm glad that they at least got to figure their shit out, because it's like from like almost the start, it's pretty clear that they're good lifelong friends and they need to stay that way. You can be close friends with someone without there being a romantic connection.
The interesting thing there is that or at least this is something I just thought, that because they haven't really had many other friends and not close, just overall they haven't been talking to other people.
They were too isolated.
Other things.
They were too loners.
It makes sense that they like, or especially Willow would have like this huge crush on him, you know, and then he would feel like he missed out on that and kind of got on it as well. Like it makes a lot of sense, you know. I wish they had more like talk to more people. You know, this could have not become a problem.
Love John Ritter saying was Ted was scary. That's fair. I only know John so well, but I get you. Zara, sorry if you guys touched on this. Don't apologize.
You
know,
good.
you be you. It's cool. How did you feel about Willow being upset that Xander and Faith slept together? Yeah, that was actually weird.
That was I know it was just for like a moment, but I'm like, it should not be in any way any kind of issue, even for a moment.
I also don't like the way that reflected her feelings about Faith specifically as well.
It's
like, dude, you need to see her in a different light.
Both options are not good.
I would say that was probably like my most disappointing, well, one of the most disappointing parts of Willow's overall story arc from like the whole show. Is just how she felt about Faith. And Xander and Faith's thing was, you know, a big part of that. So
for sure.
Especially since she was back with Oz and said she moved. But,
honestly, it doesn't matter. It for like to me, it does not matter if she's with somebody or not. She just like her reaction.
Had no right. Personally.
And I do not like both for Xander or for Faith. There's nothing wrong. Well, aside obviously how she handled things with him, but that's a separate thing.
Way how the Faith, the way the Faith kind of used him.
So she like if she was mad at that, if she knew that would be one thing.
If she was mad
she didn't know that.
I agree. I agree.
But it was actually good that they showed that, especially like the second time when he came in to check on her and she basically can we say that?
Assaulted.
She did,
she basically assaulted him. That's actually
the second time when
Faith, that I gotta I mean we did sort of touch on that in that episode and as it was happening, but Faith definitely assaulted Xander, so that's that was definitely rough. I'm sort of glad the show did it though, because like there's so few examples of men being taken advantage of, and no, it's not like the most major or common thing in reality, but just because it's a much bigger problem of it happening to women doesn't mean that it's not a problem for men. It's just like also.
No,
it's
no,
also
for sure.
shit. Anyone being victimized is shit.
Yeah, it has to be shown, especially because
it has to be shown.
It's taken seriously way less. Now, definitely more so.
Women are frequently also not taken seriously once they've been assaulted, but men quite often never even tell anyone.
Yes.
Like one of my favorite artists was assaulted as a young man, and he hid that for like 20, 30 years, and then it pretty much led to his death.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's fucking brutal.
Yeah, so it was important for them to show it. And I understand that they couldn't touch on it as much.
Yeah.
But the fact that they did in late 90s.
The fact that the show showed a man being, essayed in the late 90s was important.
Yeah.
It's interesting that it didn't affect Xander as much as it probably would have in real life. That's a whole other story, a whole other aspect of the story.
Yeah.
But it was an important story. It was an important story to go with. Yeah. Feelings for Xander. Originally, I thought it was sloppy writing, but knowing what I know now, it makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't call it bad writing.
Yeah. No.
It's more just rough to watch people in these positions go through these things. It's just hard.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. He's a good character. He just got sideswiped in the fan base, similar to how people don't like main characters. Wow, I need more information here because
that's a tough one. I do think that a certain amount of the fan base doesn't give Xander enough quarter. That's a tough one. There's a lot of things.
After watching the whole show, because there's going to be like so much more there. But I'm glad that you see that even now.
Well, there's a lot of stuff with Xander where it's like he's done and said some really stupid shit, no doubt. But like that doesn't make him a bad person. It just means there's certain things that he doesn't understand and needs to be taught. But there is a certain amount of those things that like I didn't know until someone fucking like smacked me hard. Like, dude, you need to know this. And I was like, what? No,
he
what?
Also
what
has way less support than everybody else to a degree. In some ways, at least.
I would say he has actually similar levels. Slightly less support than even Buffy. And Buffy is like not supportive enough character, but it's true.
Her mom might be wrong in some ways, but she's still there for her on the basic level.
Yeah.
That's not the same for Xander's parents.
Xander doesn't have quite the same level of support network.
Yeah, and even Willow is kind of separated from him now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is a rough one. Yeah. The main character thing is a rough one because I've seen so many fucking main characters who are the worst. The absolute worst, like the worst part of the show. Depends on the show, obviously. Depends on the main character, but there are a couple of shows like I can't even remember exactly why, but I was watching. If you guys know the show Continuum, I was watching that show. I feel like maybe I need to go back and rewatch it just to like really clarify exactly what I was thinking or feeling about the main character. But I remember noping out of that show about midway through, being like, no, I can't deal with this main character anymore. She fucking sucks.
Gotcha.
So maybe I need to rewatch that and like reevaluate potentially. Sure. It's hard to say, but yeah, that was a rough one. And the one Xander's hanging out with, like, it's weird to me that the guy knew how to resurrect. They could have explained more. I feel, well, no, that's fair. Yeah. His dad was a necromancer.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. Excited for Angel Series reactions. Thank you, Crystal. We just filmed the first episode, so hopefully we'll have both the first episodes for New Buffy and Angel tomorrow. Slightly more than 24 hours.
Yeah, definitely
we release them in the evening, and it's the morning for us now.
Evening,
it's like a day and a half until we release those.
Yeah.
So
he mentioned that he's
grandpapping you video raised.
Yeah, sure.
Or interviewed or something. Yep, totally.
Yeah.
Cody.
Hi, Cody.
Oh, hey, Cody.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah.
Thank you, Alice. I guess to me, for a guy so off the rails, it's odd. He's close enough to his family to learn the necromancy. Can't say.
I don't know. I think we didn't have enough story for him to know that. You know?
Sure.
Like, there's a certain amount of guessing, assuming for sure we can do that, but realistically, we didn't have as much story.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
Now that you and Sam are at the halfway point of Buffy, what do you think would be your guys' niche roles on Buffy's team? So if we were part of the Buffy gang,
right, yeah. Like,
what kind of roles would we fill? I mean, I think that's pretty easy. But you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you want me to go? You want to think about it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's easy. Okay, well, look, I'm definitely going to be thinking about this in sports terms to a degree. So if you've watched any hockey or basketball or even football, there is always someone on the team or a couple, 2 to 3 players on a team who you would consider to be the enforcer. That's more or less where I would fit in on a team like this. This is the person who isn't necessarily like the star, because obviously in this case Buffy is the star. She is the superstar team leader. But the team leader always needs someone who's going to back them up when shit gets real. You know, when they're being like singled out, targeted, focused on, the enforcer's the one who comes in and makes that no longer a thing. You cannot pick on my leader. That's not how it works. You know what I mean? That was more or less my role in football too. I didn't know what the rules of the game were when we were playing, and they were like, "Hey, you protect him, you take them out." And I was like, "Okay, cool, let's do that."
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah.
Although I will say that's not my role in basketball. I am usually the floor general, I suppose. Team leader. If you don't know basketball but do know football, the quarterback, but in basketball, point guard. So this is a different thing, but this is Buffy. We're thinking Buffy.
Yes.
So go on.
Yeah. Oh, you're done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, I thought you were gonna like have a role for both of us.
No, I talk for me. You talk for you.
That's fair. I think I would start in like Giles-esque role, but I would expand my physical training. And I know he has physical training, and he continues doing that.
You'd be the TA.
No, what do you mean TA?
Well, Buffy, Giles, the teacher, you teacher's assistant.
But not
you just be Giles.
Giles-esque, yeah.
You actually just be Giles. You would replace Giles.
I say like I have some similarities with Willow, but I'm not the same kind of like I don't have the same kind of personality. The inquisitive part of her, the learning, the witchy stuff, I would say that
you would be more actively engaged,
but not as timid as she started and awkward. I did not have that. Like I never had that way, so I can't really say like that part of personality would be there. But just being excited for things, definitely. So I would say kind of Giles and Willow. I'm kind of both of them in different ways.
Somewhere between Giles and Willow.
Yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
But with more physical training.
Yeah. Well, luckily for me, there's no one on the team that qualifies as the enforcer, so I just fit in there nicely. Xander probably should be a bit more that, especially considering he hasn't done a lot of like specific role training. To be the enforcer, you kind of just need to have the right attitude. Which, to be fair, he only kind of has.
Yeah.
But that's where we are. Yeah. So we're up to Elise.
Yes.
Buffy and Faith duo dynamic is often seen as Buffy's good. Faith is that's interesting.
That's wrong.
Faith is not evil. Messed up.
Hey.
Yeah. Oh, someone joined Patreon.
Hey.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. The show tier, so I'm assuming it's connected. Yeah.
If you are in the chat and you joined Patreon, thank you.
Yes.
We definitely need more patrons.
And I mean, there's not a lot of opportunities for us to promote
Buffy.
Like I just let people know that we watch it. So obviously it's good. Yes, we do.
We do promote Buffy in most of our movie reactions.
Yeah.
So yeah. Faith is not evil. That's tough. She is traumatized. She's mixed up. She's confused.
Hasn't had a lot of opportunities to grow.
Yeah, I mean, you could call her a bad guy because of the things she did and the direction she took, but evil isn't the right word.
No.
Evil is more inherent. Like that's just who you are, can't be changed kind of deal.
Like the Master, he's kind of like that.
Yeah, Master seems like Or if you want to go, because we would just rewatch Stranger Things. Vecna is a great example of just he's evil. Yeah, no, I would get behind that. But yeah, no, Faith, no. Faith at least has the room to a path of redemption, even if that never happens. I think there's room in her personality to get to that point of redeeming herself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Crystal, I very rarely got to watch it when it was on live TV when I was a child. I only saw it once or twice at 8 or 9 years old. I binged the whole 7 seasons, 19 or so. Yeah.
That's fair. Yeah,
totally
sure.
fair.
Yeah.
Totally fair.
Yeah, we had so many reruns of Buffy, so I basically like just watched a lot of it on TV as it was, and then rewatched.
That's fair. Yeah, I couldn't really watch Buffy when it was live on TV, partly because I was sort of caught up in other shows that were more of a commitment, but also partly because I was genuinely afraid of the Buffy show as a child. Like the horror element seemed like fully legit. I was like, no.
I know. Well, yeah, at the time, like some episodes of Charmed were like that for me as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
For sure.
Maybe.
I mean, I started watching when I was 6, so yeah.
Oh yeah, that's entirely fair. Yeah.
And realistically, the first episode that I watched, Miss Hellfire, with like fucking hired hitmen, well, hitwoman, I was like, wow, I do not want that to happen to me.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
And Elise, but to be honest, Faith had a lot of trauma. You could see the Buffy from the Wish episode was more Faith-like.
Yeah.
After seeing Buffy stabbing Faith, how do you feel about Buffy's potential hidden darkness? Before you get there, I'm going to say that I actually thought a little bit of Buffy in the Wish as Kendra.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But a little more jaded. Probably maybe Kendra and Faith kind of together.
Somewhere in between. Yeah. I mean, I do like that kind of episode to show that, like, different circumstances, different choices can lead you down entirely different paths into becoming very different people. You know what I mean? But for Buffy's potential hidden darkness, I don't really see it. I'll be honest. I guess potential is the right word. Like, if things go a certain way and maybe everyone abandoned her or everyone died or something, maybe. But where she's at right now, even though I think Buffy could be better supported, I would say that she has enough support and is, enough. Yeah, well, she has enough support that, like, I don't think that she would or should go in a dark direction. Something major has to happen for Buffy to, like, go off the rails,
Fair. Yeah. I agree.
How I described reaction videos to my mom. Aren't you tired of trying to make you watch that movie or show? Now I can have the same feeling without annoying my family. Yeah. I get
nice.
you.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that's it for us as well. It's the ability to share things with people, share things we love with people, but without, like, trying to force it on the people who don't want to watch it or aren't interested or whatever.
For sure.
Especially, like, for me. I mean, this is like a natural progression to a degree. I was telling you guys earlier.
Yeah.
I had, like, the recaps of Arrowverse shows back in the day, just sort of discussing what happened in the episode from creators. It used to be Emergency Awesome. He kind of stopped doing that. Nonetheless, yeah, that was my way of being able to share the show with people, just because, like, no one I knew was into any of those shows. Some of my friends still sort of snicker at the idea of comic books. Like, it's just stupid childish bullshit. I'm like, you haven't read comic books, dude. I'm sorry, you just don't know. But yeah, I definitely have some friends who, like, just not in it. In fact, most of my friends are not into the same things that I'm into, so it is a bit of a tough one. I don't get to share any of the things that I love with those people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like, similar situation with me, not as much in the friends aspect, but is in, like, wanting to learn more about the shows and characters and actors, getting into it and sharing that and discussing it with people. I have talked about the things that I enjoy so much with my friends who weren't even, like, watching them.
Yeah.
And then there are websites and, like, forums for shows, earlier on.
Yeah.
Because I kind of didn't get there, like, on YouTube when these kinds of things were happening that you're saying, like recaps and all of that. But before that, it was just like looking up websites for a specific show and just, like, talking a little bit to people there and
getting the forums.
Getting as involved as you can. But I definitely have talked so much to my friends about the things that I like, even though they, like, weren't watching them with me. So that's also, like, a natural progression.
For sure.
Obviously, we found each other this very way talking about movies.
Yeah, because we love a lot of the same stuff. We can share a lot of the same stuff. for a while there, like Steph was the only person I shared media with because we was the only person I had similar interests with. Is the reason we started the channel together. You know what I mean? We didn't share all of our interests, most definitely not, but at least enough crossover that we could discuss things. So that was always good.
For sure.
Glee went high school and college. Yeah, I didn't watch Glee.
Yeah, I did not watch Glee.
Yeah, I don't even think I want to go back and watch Glee. So
yeah. And okay, The Summer I Turned Pretty, My Life with the Older Boys, all newer shows. 13 Reasons is a little bit.
I didn't watch any of them.
Yeah, but like, what about the I do not remember them going to college.
Who?
13 Reasons Why.
Don't look at me.
Maybe we're just talking about teen shows because we did talk about teen shows.
What are the teen shows from
the last
totally
fair. Yes, 2010
Those
shows.
Never have
Pretty Little Liars, Glee. Gossip Girl is not a 2010 show. It started in 2007 and it ended
also
in
not
the
a teen show, right?
No, it is a teen show. Of course, they're like 16 in the first season.
Fuck off. Really?
No, it is a teen show.
Okay, they just picked adults to play them again.
Well, like 19, 20 years old.
Blake Lively was like 19, 20 years old at that time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
she was like literally 19 when they started filming.
Sure.
Yeah, but no, not a 2010 show, Gossip Girl. It ended in the early 2010s. But all the rest of them there, yes, for sure. Riverdale, I did not get to see them like going to college. I definitely tuned out of that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like really none of those shows I really watched.
Yeah.
And the two of those, Summer I Turned Pretty and My Life with the Older Boys, are like much more recent. Very recent. Yeah. I dropped off Riverdale, but I should watch after they finish school.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't.
I know that they started going intentionally very like bizarre and ridiculous and weird, and maybe that's when it actually got better again. Because they lean into the ridiculousness.
Well,
so I hear.
I that was one of my favorite things about Legends of Tomorrow, which, as you know, the further they got into the show, the more they realized like we're just kind of a weird show, and let's just do that. Let's just be weirdos. And I was like, fuck yeah, do that.
Yeah. That's cool.
Some of the later on seasons of Legends, like seasons 3 and 4 and stuff, was really good stuff.
Yeah.
If you like mythology, the lore in Teen Wolf is really fun and borderline horror inspired.
Oh my god, the lore was great in there, and obviously horror inspired.
It's really, really good.
Based on Teen Wolf movies, so of course it's
horror. The Teen Wolf movies are not horror.
Well,
you haven't seen the Teen Wolf movies. They're comedy. They're 100% comedy.
Yeah, but there is a little bit of maybe it's not. I guess horror is not the word that I'm thinking about.
You could call them horror adjacent because of the werewolf theme.
Yeah.
But outside of that, they're straight up teen comedies.
Yeah. I guess what.
But again, you haven't seen.
No. I'm also thinking what they what's happening in Teen Wolf as well. No, you're right. Yeah. There are different inspirations there.
The Teen Wolf movies are very coming of age.
Don't really know horror. You know what? I'm not gonna just get hung up on that. But yes, the lore there is really good. I agree. At certain points specifically, I rewatch certain parts of the seasons because I really like the mythology there. Fair. So I'm definitely looking forward for us watching that.
Sure.
Us watching that. Yeah. I sometimes go watch Riverdale when I'm more and play a game.
Okay.
I try to figure out how much drugs the people were. Yeah, I obviously it's hard for me to say because I stopped watching after season 3. But so I hear
nothing
about that.
I got nothing. So, what's the audience situation with smaller shows?
What do you mean smaller shows?
Yeah, what do you mean?
Do you mean like shorter shows and
or
like
you mean
shorter
like
episodes and shorter seasons?
In our ability to do that, like what do you mean by the audience situation?
I think it might be in connection to us saying like husband was easier to do and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm feeling that too. Alice, if you could just confirm what you mean there.
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody's approach is valid, but your approach is more valid. We appreciate that.
Yeah,
obviously it's subjective.
That. Yeah, of course.
I think right now there's so many like reaction commentary type channels. There's channels for everyone. You know, whatever kind of person you are, there's probably a channel for you.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I think Oz was right to hold off on going further with Willow. She tried to rush into something physical, trying to move past nearly being with Xander in that way. Then Oz got to use it as an ace to calm down, distract Will leading into the fight against the mayor.
Do you remember? Or do you need a refresher there?
What do you mean? This just happened, did it?
Well, it happened like half a season ago, but sure.
I mean,
Like, remember exactly when.
Yeah, no, of course. I do think he was right to hold off on. Yeah, because it just wasn't the right time.
Yeah, and the thought process. Her thought process was
why exactly? And you're right in the sense that it seemed like Willow was trying to sort of use that to get past being with Xander in that way. And I agree. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, most of Oz's decisions, or almost all of them, I've been like, yeah, fuck yeah, Oz all the way. So. Yeah.
While still being in a better place in their relationship than when Willow tried to. Oh yeah, I guess it's.
Well, yeah, by the time.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, but by later on, they're back to being in a good place in their relationship. So totally. Proud Xander offender. You're gonna understand how abusive his household was. I feel like I already have a pretty good idea, but we'll see if they surprise me in any way.
Yeah.
No one supports him. Giles just gets mad at him, and that's his father figure. To a degree, yeah. I think that's the one thing with Xander is that people take his immature moments as a sign of that's just who he is, where it's really just a sign of him trying to pretend that his life isn't the way it is. That, I can definitely see Xander sort of using those moments of immature joke type stuff as that's his defense mechanism. So yeah, I'll definitely be curious to see where they're going with Xander.
That actually, not reminded, but I guess to a degree reminded me of something. Giles is definitely the one who should be a bit more present and supportive in his life, but Willow has been his friend since they were little. She knows his.
She should know his home life.
The best.
She should know it in general.
So for some of these moments, I think she could have been a bit more supportive.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. Brendan talked a lot about his alcoholism. I liked him a lot. Brendan,
Nicholas Brendan.
Oh, Nicholas Brendan. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I only know so much about that, but I know he has seemed to have had a pretty rough go of it post Buffy, which that sucks.
Like, he had good moments. Like Criminal Minds, he had like a big recurring role there for years.
Sure.
Yeah. But obviously, we only know so much about his personal life, even with information that we get.
Tia with the extra super chat. Can't wait to see your extra two Angel Buffy crossovers.
Oh yeah, same.
Thank
Very
you.
much looking forward
I'm just
to
super looking forward to the crossovers in general. I love crossover episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people do. So
yeah, for sure.
So thank you so much for the extra super chat, super sticker, whatever you want to call it, super support.
We're past this.
Scooby Gang, are they calling Buffy's team that by this season? I think they've mentioned it once or twice.
Sure.
Actually,
for sure.
Yeah. When you say football, you mean American football? Actually, no. In this case, okay, yeah. No. When I say football, I mean rugby. Just no one calls it rugby in Australia. I think calling it rugby is for like if you like just football is something else to you, but in Australia, rugby is football. There is no other football.
Sure.
That's it. So footy, I suppose. I played rugby union. So I don't know how much that helps you. Australia has its own code AFL to further complicate. Well, yeah, AFL is a whole other story. I never got into AFL. But again, I'm not really into Australian football in general, whether it's AFL or rugby league or rugby union. I just played rugby union for like a year, and that was it,
Okay. And Buff might be the savior and the slayer, but it doesn't make her perfect or purely good. She's still human, still flawed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
totally.
I'd even say it's not that she's flawed. She just doesn't get, obviously, but she doesn't get the same opportunities to grow as other characters because of this. So it's kind of like we need to treat her.
I think she's talking about the good versus evil, Buffy versus Faith situation. I might be wrong.
Okay, I mean, if that's the case, definitely. I agree that it doesn't make her perfect or good. Sure,
for sure. Daniel, that's insulting. I'm just imagining Sam watching Seventh Heaven when it came out because Buffy was too scary. I'm hurt. So technically, I have seen episodes of Seventh Heaven, but that was wildly too far in the opposite direction. Like, I am so far away from understanding like a Christian family like that. Is like whatever was going on there was like, nah, fam, no, that wasn't for me. No, I was a sci-fi kid, so I was watching Stargate at this time and Smallville. Gotcha. What else was I watching in the early 2000s or late 90s? Oh God, I don't know. It's been a while. Oh, Dark Angel. I watched Dark Angel. That was great.
I did not watch it on TV, so.
Yeah, I did. I watched Dark Angel when it was on TV. That was cool.
Yeah. Mystery and supernatural shows for me.
Yeah.
Like, Charmed, X-Files, Twin Peaks were the ones that I watched at the time.
I watched Charmed.
Yeah.
So that was that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, I never thought of Buffy as horror when I watched it, which is teens ed. I avoided a lot of horror most of my young adult years, but loved Buffy. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, like, but yeah, as a kid growing up, I thought of it as a horror show.
And realistically, comparing to other shows, like, definitely. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Even trying my whole life without success to get my friends into Animorphs, for example.
Oh yeah, that's a tough road because, like, for a lot of people, like, you have to try to sell them on the Animorphs TV show, and the Animorphs TV show was not it. Like, it's, as an Animorphs fan, it's fun to watch the TV show just to think, like, what could have been, and it's the closest example of getting them on the screen and all that kind of stuff. But obviously for Animorphs, it's like the books are where it's at. And trying to get people to read the books is like, that's a lot. I don't think I literally ever succeeded in getting anyone to read Animorphs. So
if you preserved your fucking books, I would have already read them.
Well, that's fair, but I can't be carrying around a giant box of Animorphs books my whole adult life. That's stupid.
Oh, you could have.
No. I kept like one, the Elemist.
Well, that's unfortunate.
It's like, for a lot of people, it's their like least favorite Animorph side story as well. I liked it. The forums chat rooms were awesome for the week-to-week speculation and deep dives. Yeah, that was as good as we were getting.
Yeah.
I
for sure.
No idea what you're saying. One.
Yeah.
Volveron. I do not understand.
Clarify that. Yeah, sorry. It took me a second. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Xander doing comedy as a defense mechanism is interesting. In a way, he is the Chandler of the group. Yeah, I've always thought that. Which is hilarious since the same French actor dubbed Xander for Buffy and Joey for Friend. Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, I guess it would make. You know what? It actually does make sense. I'm pretty sure like voice actors like in Ukraine also did like multiple of these shows.
It's just that it's funny that the actor who played Xander played Joey when it would have been made more sense for him to play Chandler.
Sure, yeah. But I gotta say, I see it in the defense mechanism specifically, but not in other, like, personality-wise. They are so different.
Oh, Xander and Chandler.
Yeah.
Yes, a lot of other things are definitely different. It's really the sarcasm.
Yeah.
The type of humor they have.
Yeah.
Xander's is definitely more teenage boy, but he is a teenage boy.
Yeah, so, for sure.
Makes sense.
Some shows like Buffy, Doctor Who, or Marvel have an established YouTube trend.
I guess, yeah.
Of reactions by smaller shows. I mean, less known on YouTube or shorter or both.
I see. Hard to say if there's less fans or there's just not here because there's no reactions. Totally.
It is.
Fully agree. Do not know. I would say that because at this point, the TV and reaction genre is much more well established. There's way more channels. I think it's just harder to stand out specifically in any individual sort of way. So if you're doing a smaller thing, like it's kind of hard, like to even get that to be seen by the total amount of fans for that show. Like there's going to be a bunch of people who probably would be into it if they knew that, specific channels were doing those shows, but they just don't know. And it's kind of hard to get it in front of them. You know what I mean?
Definitely.
So yeah, that's a tough one.
And there's way less specialty now as well.
Yeah, I would say
everybody's doing everything.
A lot of channels try to serve like just everybody.
Yeah.
There's only so many channels who are like very specific. I would point to a channel like the Horror Bandwagon, who's kind of being specific to horror.
Yeah,
I love that they're doing that.
And like campy horror as well.
Yeah, for sure. Well,
so
they do cover
obviously they cover different kinds of horror, but
specifically, I like that they do that. Campy, yeah. I mean, that was one thing with the Movie Buds is we wanted to specifically stick to just female-oriented content, whether that be like rom-coms or teen movies or whatever. Like it's hard to say because some of them aren't. Like Pitch Perfect is neither of those things. But it's a big group of girls doing music stuff.
Well, it's definitely female oriented.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. So some of it wasn't quite so specific, but we wanted to stick to a lane, and I think to a degree that's the same thing for us now as a 2-person channel, and even me just doing solo videos on the Movie Buds. We don't want to try to serve everybody. I don't think that works.
That's not sustainable.
Yeah. Wait, now I know what Sam. Hang on. Wait, now I know that Sam gave me Jock Babes. I thought it was Metal Babes. I mean, it's kind of both.
And then they're both the same kind of. So clarification.
It is similar. Well, it's weird because like I wouldn't say I really fit into either. Like I'm not specifically nerdy or specifically a jock or specifically like artistic. I'm sort of somewhere in between those things. Well,
having all of these things in here.
Well, because I am all of those things. Yeah. But I do see that that's confusing for some people. I've had a certain amount of people who are like, wait, Sam's kind of a jock. And I'm like, sort of. Like, I play sports. I've played a lot of sports. I've been on a decent amount of teams. But so, like, I never really fully fit in with the other jocks. Like, I got to a certain point where I was like, dude, I can't even have, like, a group of guy friends anymore. I'm just sick of, like, fucking stupid things that these dudes are saying and doing. So that's tough, but then at the same time, like, yeah, I do a lot of very traditionally bro type stuff. So, but at the same time, like, I am a huge metalhead. I've been listening to metal since I was, I don't know, mid-teens, early teens, whatever. I have this big ass Megadeth tattoo right here. You guys might not know the amount of people who see this and just think
you misspelled death.
Yeah. Goddamn.
That's so funny.
But yeah, no, I mean, like, I'm a giant metalhead, but at the same time, I'm also not really part of the metal community in any way anymore. Kind of for similar reasons. Like, I got sick of a lot of like the rhetoric that I was hearing from a lot of dudes. Just tired of it, But at the same time, I can only speak to certain limited experience of like knowing people in Sydney and shit, Might be different in other areas. I'd like to think it's different in other areas,
Yeah.
Animorphs. Yeah. Animorphs is great. Now imagine if there was a Buffy crossover with Seventh Heaven. That would be wild. Just complete opposite shows.
Okay. Do you remember first episode, season 2 Buffy, while we were editing it, and you said at the very end they did the same kind of spin with the camera as they do in Seventh Heaven?
Oh God. I vaguely remember. Yeah.
It's just like obviously when Willow and Xander get over Buffy, just being a little separated from them after being away for the summer with her dad and then coming back.
I can't be honest. I can't remember the exact moment or the exact shot, but I do remember saying to you, "Oh, this is kind of like Seventh Heaven." Because I've seen some Seventh Heaven episodes.
Yeah.
But that was because Jessica Biel was in it. That's literally the only reason.
Sure.
I didn't care about the other characters or what was happening with the storylines. I was like, Jessica Biel's pretty hot.
Oh wow, I did not find her attractive.
I did back then.
Oh,
no, she's still pretty, but it's not like I've thought about her in years.
No, that's fair. I just I really tried to see anything, but I just can't.
You didn't see it. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. But yeah, that was not nearly enough for me to actually continue watching the show.
Sure.
Yeah. I would have been the biggest thing of ship with the Camden families for the Seventh Heaven saving the day because of their Christianness. Yeah, that would have been pretty funny.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Speaking of Animorphs, I sent Sam a PDF folder of all the Animorphs books via Google Drive. I'm surprised Sam hasn't sent them to you to read.
No, we shared the drive.
Clarification. That is your drive on your laptop. I remember trying to access them from my laptop and I couldn't.
Oh, really?
I think because maybe it's connected to your other email or something. Daniel, I'm gonna look at it again because I remember that I couldn't access them on anything except this laptop, which is yours, which you work on all the time. Right. So I couldn't actually read them. I think, and first of all, of course, like I would really like to read them, paper.
That's actually another thing. I fucking hate reading stuff on the computer.
But I really appreciate you sending them, and I appreciate the effort.
And I'm glad that it's there, so we at least have the opportunity, because I want to reread Animorphs. Like, I know I finished the entire series. I'm not missing anything, but like, it's great. And you need to see.
I say that I'm gonna message you, and maybe if you can share it with me separately, because I'm gonna try accessing it through you, but I think I can't access it anywhere else but this laptop. So if we can share it the other way. No, you can't. You can't. I tried, but you can't because you don't own it.
I can download it and then share it with you or whatever.
Well, but then you have. Honestly, I remember looking into it and it wasn't working, but I will look into it again. And I definitely appreciate you sending them to us.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. Especially for Animorphs, I would say it's the number one book series for TV fans. Like, if you're a fan of TV shows, should read Animorphs. Because I wouldn't recommend it for other book readers. I recommend it to TV show fans. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because they formatted Animorphs like a TV show. I think they wanted it to, get a TV show, and it did. They just didn't have any money. Broke as fuck TV show.
That's fair. Yeah. But I did look into actually getting the books, but there's not a ton of options.
So tough. Yeah.
And because it's like a big collection. It's something that you have to actually dedicate a certain amount of time,
and we do not have that currently.
Not at the moment, specifically for looking up actual books, and getting them, because it would be cool to do it at some point.
Absolutely. We are trying to build up to a point where we have free time to do things like that with. Not there yet. But we're trying.
Yay!
You can read the PDFs online of Animals for free. Yep.
That's
good.
Fair.
Thank you. Hold on, Zara. Whedon's biases bleed into the show often because Buffy is meant to be about female empowerment, but his idea of that is Buffy getting shit on and not standing up for herself because she's the bigger person. I can hear what you're saying.
Totally fair.
I can hear what you're saying.
Yeah. Especially at the time. It's not just him. Obviously,
it's also
him.
Because it's the time.
But it is.
I agree.
Come on, he grew up in 70s. I think that his idea of empowerment is
just
better than most people at the time.
But it's shy of what it needs to be. That's
absolutely.
Totally.
Yes. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. Speaking of Animals, the whole series is on Audible as audiobooks, and they're currently releasing the series as graphic novels.
Well, graphic novels is a better option for sure.
Just hear me out.
Okay.
First of all, the series on Audible, I think, is great. Definitely, that's a good way to go through it. Unfortunately, with the graphic novels, apparently they're trying to release them as currently up, as being set in the current.
Oh, I think you did tell me that.
I told you about
forgot.
this. And the show is written in a 90, it doesn't really make sense out of the 90s. It's like we've talked about with X-Files. It's a 90s show. It needs to be set in the 90s. Even if you're watching it now, the fact that it's set in the 90s matters. And it's the same thing with Animorphs. It's
gotcha.
You can do it. If they were doing a TV show for Animorphs now, I'd want them to set it in the 90s still. Late 90s, whatever. That's fine. But a certain amount of the things in it just don't really
wouldn't
make
work
sense
the
in a modern
same way,
context.
right?
Yeah. You'd have to write things in a way one of the early things is, I think they're in an internet cafe or a video game arcade or whatever, and it just doesn't function in today's world, the way they wrote it. There are certain things.
Sure.
I think probably the graphic novels are going to be still a 9 out of 10. I want to read them myself, so I guess there's that.
But I obviously still want to read them. After all effort. Oh my God! Sorry. Obviously, we've brain's still not working properly.
We're trying.
Yes. After all you've told me about Animorphs over the years, I want to watch them. And then you guys have brought it up watch them.
Read them.
Yes, I want to read them. After you guys have brought it up multiple times, and
totally.
I definitely want to do that.
Yeah.
And the fact that I haven't done it so far doesn't mean that I want to do it.
Yeah.
It means that there are a lot of stuff we're doing, and we're trying to make this work, and we're trying to just take a little bit of rest so we are able to keep working and keep making these reaction and commentaries.
There was a brief period about a month or two ago where like I was legitimately worried that we'd broken our brains. I was like, dude, I can't think. What the hell is happening?
Yeah, and like we're still kind of there. We're doing a little bit better.
We're doing a little bit better.
But you can see by me like
work-life balance,
not being able to say certain things.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Just gotta have a bit more rest.
Zara, hang on. When a lack of boundaries is disempowering, not to mention how he wrote the characters based on how he felt about the real life actors. He would punish the actors by hurting their character arc.
Yeah, that will happen.
That might.
Yeah.
Wait, is that what happened to Cordelia's last like story arc for the end of the season? Is that why she was like?
I don't think that is part of it.
Okay.
But yes, that's definitely not. There's gonna be like you just know about Charisma Carpenter and her situation. This is not it.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it gets worse.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I love the horror bandwagon. There you go. Good stuff.
Yeah, I really like that they have that channel that is so specific. It's like personally very interesting to us.
Yeah.
And the fact that they are actually doing something specific, not just trying to do everything.
Indeed. Yeah. Great time to be an Anna fan. Animorphs. Yeah. Yes and no. I mean, because they're releasing the graphic novels, it's at least I think if you've already read the series, you can go back and read the graphic novels and like get the best out of it.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
But yeah, goddamn, like there's nothing I think I want to see adapted more so than Animorphs to a TV show right now. The only other thing that I want to see adapted to a TV show like more than that is Booster Gold, and they're already doing that.
Yeah.
I'm already disappointed by the casting choices. So
yeah,
we'll get there. If you guys don't know Booster Gold, they picked Kumail Nanjiani to play him, and his personality doesn't really make sense for Booster. He's like Kumail's like sense of humor is based on like a certain amount of what's the word? In self-deprecation. There you go. You know, Booster is like not that at all. You know, Booster is super confident, like wildly overconfident in his abilities for somewhat legitimate reasons. So I'm hoping that still goes good or whatever. But yeah, I have every character I've seen Kumail play. I've enjoyed a lot of his work. I just don't think he makes sense in this particular role. Much like the Nathan Fillion casting for Guy Gardner. Maybe not quite as bad because Nathan Fillion makes zero sense as Guy Gardner. If you've read the Green Lantern comics at all, it's like, the fuck? Entirely different person, but okay. And yeah, there's something to be said for actors and range and their ability to play different roles or whatever. But after like 20 years of Nathan Fillion's acting, I just don't see him as Guy Gardner. It's kind of a bummer. And also, actually, what was it? James Gunn's description of what he thinks Booster Gold is was like, oh, bro, have you read Booster Gold? What the fuck is this description? So yeah, bit of a tough one. Tia Tamara, hang on. I'll elaborate. Where am I? Zara. I'll elaborate about the Whedon thing later on. Don't want to spoil anything. Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll probably continue to get into how Whedon was treating his, cast and everything the further we get into the show.
Oh yeah,
and that's totally fair. I mean, obviously we'll be doing another live discussion like this after season 4/1 of Angel in like 4 months or whatever.
yeah.
Sam is a skater boy, get around. It's fine.
Well, that's another thing.
And this is kind of what I'm talking about. Is like, because I have like 5 or 6 somewhat competing interests, like fairly major competing interests, they kind of pull me in different directions, and some of them are like really opposed to each other. Like the fact that I'm into like weightlifting and basketball does not jive with skateboarding. Like other skaters give me weird looks, just from being fit and stuff like that. But most of the things that I like, I know really no longer really fit into as a community as a whole. Which is kind of a bummer in some ways, but it is what it is. From a customer service point of view, interesting. Metalheads are the best clients. That's fair. Max would love to bartend metal shows. The crowd was always polite. That's true. You do get a lot of politeness from metalheads. I would say metalheads It's tough. In some ways, you get some of like the best community and some of the nicest, most intelligent people in metal. But you also get some of the shittiest gatekeeping in metal. People talking about what it is or isn't metal and who is or isn't metal. And the amount of metalheads don't even understand what metal is from a musical standpoint is so fucking frustrating. The amount of metalheads I've heard describe it as like, well, it depends on how heavy it is. You're like, no. First of all, there are other genres of music that do heavy things. You don't have to be metal. And second of all, what is heavy? That's so subjective. Like, doesn't describe anything. How do you define that? And there are plenty of metal bands that aren't particularly heavy, and there are plenty of metal bands super heavy or whatever, but it's just not a description. Sorry, I know that's an entirely separate thing. It's just, I think it just comes from like the way metalheads try to gatekeep metal. Like, you're not even allowed to be a new metalhead, like it's kind of the same thing in skateboarding. Like, if you're new to skateboarding, man, it can be tough. It can be tough. You have to like prove yourself. However, I will say, at least in skateboarding, the way you prove yourself is just continuing to go back down to the skate park every couple of days or whatever it is. Like, if you like, if you take a big slam in front of a bunch of people, you get back up and keep skating, that'll help. But it's kind of not the same thing in metal. Like, there's no real way to prove yourself other than continuing to go to shows and dealing with some of the hazing, I suppose. State of the Google Drive access to the PDF. Send it to individual access. Sam should be able to share it with you now by sending a link. Oh, there you go.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
that's good. There's a page in the second graphic novel that made me literally exclaim, "Holy shit!" And that's all I'll say. Interesting. Okay. Well, I am curious to like read the graphic novels for Animorphs. Of course, I want to, just because that's as close to like a proper TV show as I might get, and TV is the preferred medium for this particular thing for me. I've already got enough graphic novels. Some of them are really great, but yeah. Where are we?
A good example of a good update from 90s to modern time is the Interview with the Vampire series, as far as I've seen it, at least season 1.
Well, look, I can only comment on the first episode, but kind of a hard disagree for me. Again, we only saw the first episode, but Louis' personality is not the same in the show as it is in the books. Like, it sort of is, but also isn't. And it's like he has different motivations for being who he is, and it doesn't really make sense to me. So yeah, I can't say I really agree with that. I did like the Mayfair Witches series, which we watched.
Yes, yeah. An interesting thing I think to point out here, when we were talking about like when you brought up Animorphs and how they should be set in the 90s, and how there's a certain amount of shows that should be set in a specific time period, and you can still make them now, but they should be set in that period. I feel like this is different because Interview with the Vampire is set in a specific period, but the books were written at a certain point, then there was a movie, now there's a show. They're all done at different times, but the period is the same. So I don't think that actually like that translates.
It's like there's a certain amount of Interview with the Vampire that's essentially a period piece.
Well, it did definitely.
Exactly, totally a period piece. And if you mess too much with that, it can get confusing.
I'd say I haven't read the books.
Yeah.
I've read Mayfair Witches series, but not the Interview with the Vampire. They were all like Vampire Chronicles.
Yeah.
So like based on just watching the movie and now watching the show, it does seem like a very different story. It's less of an adaptation from the book. It feels more of it's inspired by that story. Yeah, modern retelling is a good point.
If you think of it as a modern retelling, I guess that's cool.
But again, we are basing this on the first episode, but of course you can tell a lot.
But I do think that the Interview with the Vampire movie was a good adaptation of what they were doing.
Yeah.
And the Queen of the Damned one was so disappointing. But that's largely because I don't think that was possible to adapt Queen of the Damned into one movie. That should have been a trilogy. Like they just did it wrong. So that's a problem.
Well, that's something for us to watch because I haven't seen that.
Queen of the Damned?
Yeah. But I would like to watch Interview with the Vampire as well.
Yeah, I'm going to rewatch Interview with the Vampire. Yeah. But then Queen of the Damned, I think, is the biggest reason to watch Queen of the Damned is just to see Aaliyah's performance, because she was great in that movie and she really committed to it. And I loved that, like her in Queen of the Damned. But the rest of it, like they have to skip so much story.
I see.
There's so much missing.
Yeah.
Like, and I know that you have to lose certain things
Mm.
for adaptations, but the amount of things they lost for Queen of the Damned is just like it's not even the same story. It's a tough one.
Yeah. Mayfair Witches, though, was a good example. They did change a lot.
They changed a bunch of things from the books,
but I think they did a good job so far.
Yeah.
We've watched the first season.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job.
I thought it was
with
solid.
Changing.
Yeah, I thought it was solid. Yeah. The first episode confused me a little bit. Beyond that, the Mayfair Witches series was really good.
Sure. Yeah.
Animals would actually make a great Netflix series. Yeah, totally. I think Animals would make a much better Netflix series than some of the other things that they've tried to adapt.
You know what? Yeah, I guess that's something we also like talk about in terms of Stranger Things. Like actually one episode being like one book.
The tough thing I will say there, though, is if they did Animorphs as a Netflix series, they would probably try to do it in that same sort of fashion as Stranger Things. And I don't think that they should do that. Like, Animorphs was written to be a thing that functions both episodic and serialized. But the Stranger Things is like it's all one story.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It is like a book, yeah.
Yeah, and Animorphs is a lot more like a Buffy or a Stargate, where it is all one story, but there are certain parts of it that go outside the main storyline or the main arc or whatever. They have like side stories and like filler episodes, and some of those side stories and filler episodes are like the best things in the series. So if you did it as like a binge style Netflix show, I don't think it would function. It has to be the kind of thing that would be released like once a week.
Well, you told me about, again, when you told me like the first time about it, I was exactly like thinking about it just having regular 40-minute episodes and more of them because there's so much story.
Yeah. And there's a bunch of
like contained kind of pieces of story, right?
Yes, and there's a bunch of things in Animorphs that if we did it in like a one story serialized fashion, they wouldn't do. They would cut these things out, and some of these things just add so much extra like richness to the story.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Animorphs creep me out more than Buffy. Well, if you talk about the TV show, I guess, because like the effects and the way they did it was just pretty gross. That's large. Again, I think it was just they were broke as fuck. You know, as a TV show, they did not have money. You could tell. The graphic novels really emphasize the body horror. Well, that's okay.
I guess that makes sense.
That doesn't shock me because that's the one thing with Animorphs, whereas like they do not pull punches.
It's kind of the whole show that. Yeah, right.
There's a certain amount of
the whole story.
Series. There's a certain amount of Animorphs where it's just like, no, the point of this is that it's fucked up. You know, I'm amazed they managed to get through all of that being like a kids kids book series. Like, I guess it was the 90s, but
Well, but then, you know, it kind of makes sense though.
Oh, totally. It makes sense in the sense that like a certain, like I guarantee that Scholastic wasn't paying that much attention to like what was being.
It's kind of hard to say that. Obviously, you have read both Goosebumps and Animorphs. And Goosebumps were specifically ordered to be that.
What do you mean?
To like have kids in this like
to be horror stories for kids.
Horror situations that they have to figure out what to do.
Yeah, I think it's just a little bit different because with Goosebumps, they're all self-contained stories. So it's probably a little bit easier to maybe skip over or miss or not think too hard about some of the more horrific things there. And a certain amount of it is pretty campy. With Animorphs, at least as a book series, wasn't really campy, and there wasn't much in the way of like goofiness, like some and like comedy, again, like moments, but in like a real life kind of way where people are funny sometimes. Friends laugh, you know. But beyond that, I mean, Animorphs definitely takes a more serious look at like basically child soldiers.
Okay. That is definitely different.
You're talking about Nathan Fillion was wondering, have you ever seen? Yeah, both of us have seen Firefly.
And he's a big fan of Firefly. I like it, but you're the big fan.
I've seen Firefly probably 4 or 5 times, but the movie Serenity, it's my most watched movie of all time. I've seen like 25 times.
Hey.
There was a point in time where I could quote like the entire movie while watching it, which is why I stopped rewatching it.
So you needed some separation.
Oh yeah, I'd seen it so many times.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I'm a leaf on the wind. It's all right. I'm not going to go through all things.
Yeah.
I can't stay awake anymore. Time for a mid-morning nap. Oh,
fair enough. That's good.
Hey, if you didn't sleep good, then get that sleep.
Yeah.
I could fully understand that. My sleep patterns have been fucked for a long time. Yeah.
Oh, the update part is more about the unreliable narrator thing. Him bringing back the same reporter to tell the story again part.
Oh, hang on.
I think it's the interview with the vampire.
Yeah. Bring back the same reporter to tell the story again. Yeah, like we only kind of because we only watched the first episode of Interview with the Vampire, so I can't say exactly how much I love that aspect of the story. And yes, we do need to actually just go through and watch the whole series.
Yeah.
It's not like I can give a fully accurate review or assessment of the series because we only watched the one episode.
Yeah, and it's been so long since you read the books and watched the movie as well, right?
It is, but I definitely felt that the changes to Louis' backstory and character motivations affected it.
Are just too different.
It's not the same thing. Like in the books, Louis is pathetic to a degree, but like he needs to be, so you go through that. In the series, he's not really pathetic. He's more defiant, and that's good, but it's a different character.
Yeah.
You know. Queen of the Damned was so disappointing because I think they stuffed most of the best scenes in deleted scenes and only left music videos and the B-roll in the actual movie.
Aww.
I mean, to a degree, that's probably true.
That doesn't sound good.
But even then, like, there's no amount of deleted scenes, I think, that could make up for the fact that it's just too big of a story to put into one movie. It's like, maybe not the scope of Lord of the Rings, but god damn, it's close.
Well, that's exactly what
like, it's a big fucking story.
Either trilogy, like you said, or a miniseries.
Miniseries
with,
makes
an
sense.
episode that are like an hour and 10 or something like that, right?
Miniseries makes a lot of sense. I'd love to see if they do a Queen of the Damned miniseries, like, because they've done obviously Interview with the Vampire and Mayfair Witches. They might get to the Queen of the Damned.
Yeah, because all of these actually make a lot of sense as miniseries.
Would be
long episodes. Be really cool. It's like chapters of the book.
Indeed.
Yeah.
I would also love to see the Vampire Armand as a TV series. However, some of the shit in that is like so fucked. I really don't think that it's probably not the best idea to make a TV show. Like, maybe, I don't know, but you know, it doesn't go well for Armand. Young Armand has a tough time. Very, very tough time.
I miss episodic television. Oh my god, we too. There's a
reason
we're watching, aside from obviously watching Buffy and Angel.
Also watching X-Files or Stargate.
Yes.
Yeah. It's true. And we just got done watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
Which isn't quite as episodic as some of these other shows, but because it still came from this same legacy, like, it's done by Jed Whedon and Marissa Tascheron. And it's like, it was still somewhat on the episodic side of things.
Especially
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
And
we really enjoyed Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There were definitely parts of it that were fucking annoying in terms of character decisions. But
and characters, throughout. Yeah.
Overall, though, great series. Yeah. You know, Fitz and Simmons.
Yes.
Amazing.
Best ones.
Yeah.
Our nerd couple.
Yeah. One Piece and Avatar were decent Netflix adaptations. I think they'd flesh out David better than Netflix adaptation of the books. Yeah, I mean, I think
for you to say.
I could agree in the sense. I mean, I really liked the Avatar adaptation. I fucking hate all of the discourse around it being shit, not knowing what it was doing. I fully disagree with all of that.
Yeah,
I think Avatar did a really good job. There were certain things that I disagree with, like, maybe we could have not started at the point they did. We could have maybe not shown as much of this area, but then some of the other things they fleshed out were really good.
Really good.
Yeah, so Avatar was pretty solid.
Yeah. One Piece we haven't
seen, and I didn't read the manga. I haven't seen the anime.
Yeah.
So no real thoughts there. And like, in terms of the ability, like, if they were going to flesh out David better for Adamov, I wouldn't be surprised if they did. But again, they would lose a lot of other things that would be deemed not quite so important to the story. And I disagree with that idea. You know, you're right in the sense, if you're talking specifically that one storyline, I wouldn't be surprised, but because it's one of the most famous Animorph storylines, they would totally go harder on that. They probably change it from a 3-episode arc to like a fucking half season. You know what I mean? But again, I think they would miss a lot of the other parts of Animorphs that make it great. A lot of the smaller things, you know. Animorphs is more existential horror than creepy horror, more messed up and horrifying than fun, scary. Exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like Goosebumps and like even Buffy to a degree, even though they're aimed at different demographics, definitely on the fun, scary side of things. Animorphs is definitely of the like, oh no, what the fuck? How are you supposed to deal with this? Like just on an emotional level, how do you handle this? Which is kind of the point.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I may have missed it, but how did you like season 3? It's my favorite. Well, yes. I mean, we at this point we have done all of the Buffy discussioning. We answered all of the Buffy questions already. So, if you want to go back, all of the actual Buffy questions were in the first probably like hour, realistically. But yeah, we enjoyed season 3. We did say we both agreed that there's like season 2, season 3, then season 1. As like enjoyment of the overall, because I think there was just we both think there was a certain amount of character and story growth in season 2 that just sort of trumped season 3 to a certain degree. But that said, I don't think that season 3 is in any way like a drop off or like a low point.
Season 3 they just continue what happened.
Yeah, I think it's more so there's like from season 3 it's still going up and getting better in a lot of ways. It just doesn't like improve as drastically as season 2 does.
Yeah. It's again like you won't have the same level of development from like, I don't know, decade to decade, or even like a couple years in and then a couple more years in on just like human level or in the show. Like it's not going to be every season has like a giant step.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. In terms of miniseries, the Netflix Dracula is spooky. Yeah, it looked interesting. Did not watch it.
Netflix Dracula.
Yeah, though it's just like a year or 2 ago. It didn't get a lot of fanfare as far as I'm aware.
I'm thinking about the correct one, because I do remember that in the last couple of years there was a show, but I don't know if that's the one.
Yeah. Not sure. Yeah. Gotta go and rest a little. Had a long week. That's totally fair, at least.
Yeah,
I mean, we're about to be.
But yeah, we should finish up.
We're wrapping this up. I would say that like literally 5 minutes for the rest of the stream.
Yes.
Because everyone seems to like we've gone through all the questions and discussion. So
plus
plus extra about other stuff
just
too,
hanging out and
just
talking.
for fun. But we're cool.
Up.
And then obviously Elise will talk later about where we're at, schedule and all that stuff. What do you look forward to in season 4 for Buffy? Well, I just want to see more of like how they grow as young adults now. Like they're in college, there's going to be more opportunities and more things they have to go through. I will say maybe small spoiler because we have seen the first episode of season 4 at this point. I like what they did with Xander's off season, like in between season 3 and season 4 of Buffy for Xander. Like the fact that he wanted to go out on the solo trip and see America, even though that didn't work out the way he wanted to, like at all.
He still did, and
he went out. He did it.
Things.
He tried to go out and discover some things for himself, and I love that he did that.
Yeah.
And honestly, what he did discover in that time frame was a certain amount of like adult life. Welcome to being an adult, bro.
Yeah, for sure.
So that was good. I like that happened. Beyond that, though, it's hard to say.
What you're looking forward to?
I'm very curious to see if we're gonna bring back Faith. I assume because she didn't die. She just like escaped in a very injured position.
Wait, what?
Faith.
Well, as far as we know, she was still in a coma.
She's in a coma?
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. She's injured.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see us come back to Faith, and I really hope that we get some level of redemption for her, or at least some level of understanding.
Yeah.
However, I will say that I have seen at least video titles for the Buffy show did Faith wrong. And I'm like, in what way? Shit. What do you mean, man? Is this going to get worse?
Well, you know what? That's actually good. You just, see what you see, but then we experience it.
Yeah. That's as far as, Obviously, we'll see. And then I'm looking forward to Spike being back. So, yes, obviously, I know Spike's coming back. This is a very major pop culture phenomenon, Buffy was. So, I'm well aware that James Masters is a bigger character later on.
Yeah.
Or has more story as we go forward. So, I'd like to see if they bring back Drew, which I'd assume they would. And then, of course, Ethan. Yeah.
So, there's a lot that you actually
there's some stuff I'm looking forward to, no doubt. I'm curious about who the big bad of the season will be, assuming they have a big bad for the whole season.
I mean, it is kind of what Buffy, propelled.
It is one of the things that the Buffy show sort of brought to the rest of TV. So it's totally fair.
Yeah. Without spoilers, is season 4 a yay or nay for you? I'm assuming that's for me because obviously, yes, for sure.
Well, is it one of your favorite seasons? Tough to say.
Not getting into favorite seasons right now. It's definitely a yay. There are some things that are a bit off from me, from my personal taste, but there are so many good things in this season as well. Certain episodes, storylines, character development, and just fun moments. So good that definitely a yay. That's not gonna stop me from liking the season, but there are definitely some influential moments in this season.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I can't remember if we ever answered about Angel season 1. If we're looking what we're looking forward to there, because I feel like John asked that, didn't he? Somebody asked about Angel season 1.
I don't think somebody definitely did ask. Not from our setup comments,
not
but
from our patrons.
No, I think just here somewhere maybe.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, I mean, if nobody actually asked, then I guess there's nothing to get into there. But I will say,
I'm pretty sure there was a question. It was just
I swear I was. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to how they expand the new team for season 1 of Angel. Maybe they'll only stick with these, 3 sort of main characters to start. But I want to see how that goes. I really want to see how Cordelia develops as an adult. I like the episode 1. What they've done so far. I thought episode 1 was a really great setup, I think, for Angel season 1. They didn't go too hard trying to introduce too many new things straight away. They started nice and easy, just getting us into the story. I'm happy about that. For sure. However, it looks like we're at that time. So
I was a nay until rewatch is also best episode coming up.
Fair.
I'm curious about which one you actually is.
Which this best episode is.
Which one you're thinking about, because I definitely have multiple that are best for me in season 4. But I get it. I get you. I'm pretty sure until before I rewatched it, when I was in college, in uni, I did kind of think the same thing, but more about overall story and some aspects of it, not the whole season, but specific things were less interesting to me. But not at this point. I think the positives and more enjoyable things for me kind of outweigh the things that were less enjoyable.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hope so.
Well, there are many seasons.
Sure. Yeah. Every long-running show has its down moments.
Yeah.
Totally. All right, guys. Well, we know that there's only 8 of you left.
Yeah.
I noticed a bunch of people noped out when I said faith is not evil. There's one problem with laying out your opinions on things online. There's always going to be people who are unhappy with those opinions. But hey, it is what it is.
But it's better than not doing that.
Totally.
Yeah.
So, hey.
Thanks so much.
Thank you guys for being here with us. I hope you enjoyed this stream. It's a long stream, and we don't really stream anymore.
Yeah.
So it's fun to sort of connect.
Absolutely. It's fun and enjoyable, and it's very much aligns with what we do in our videos. This is just a live version to a degree of that, but we love discussing things and sharing the joy.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point of why we do these things.
Thanks so much. Have a great night.
Yeah.
Too bad. Yeah. But you guys also have a good one, wherever you are.
Wherever you are.
Night most of the
place,
time.
all that stuff.
Most other place, but
Sorry, Rose, that you're turning up right at the end. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But we did cover most of the Buffy and Angel questions in the first hour or so, and then I would say a decent amount after that was kind of just discussing in general.
Yeah, it was more about overall show discussion. And other things.
Talking TV, pop culture, all that stuff. So good stuff. Well, hope you guys have a good one.
Bye.
End. There we go.